to UMR. It's the Podfather. We're here. We
Paisans.
Hey, paisans, my paisans. We're doing it. Frank and I finally met our movie resolution from 2 years. More for me, I think, maybe like 3 years.
I'm a late bloomer.
Yeah. We watched The Godfather II, as far as mine going, and Frank watched Godfather 3.
Hey.
I didn't, because I've heard it's garbage.
Wow.
From him.
Oh, man.
So I skipped that one. But I did watch Godfather 1 and 2. We're going to go ahead and talk about our thoughts about it because it is the 50-year anniversary this year of Godfather 1.
Yeah.
So 1972. Right?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah,
Gosh.
Man. Old movie.
Yeah, we got to talk about how hot and how unhot all the famous actors are in the,
Welcome
in the
to
first
The Godfather, hot or not.
Yeah.
like the Hilary Swank thing. And not, are they hot? Would you do them?
Robert Duvall, hot.
Yeah, he is hot, actually. It's weird.
Until he starts looking more like Robert Duvall.
James Caan, hairy, but hot.
Extremely hairy. We're already hitting this segment.
Yeah, man, we're in it. We're in it already.
We're being so efficient. We're going to be done in like 20 minutes.
And that's our thoughts on The Godfather.
We're reviewing the longest movies of all time in the shortest time possible.
Oh, man.
Before we get this going, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're checking us out on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. Give us that little bell. Right? You can do thumbs up on YouTube. I've been one.
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube all the time. Why don't I know how it works?
Because you're watching on your TV.
That's true. This man knows me.
Yeah, it's different than the phone experience for sure.
Yeah, I like the phone experience too, though. It's pretty cool.
Gives you something to do while you poop.
Interesting.
Yeah, you could learn how to do things. Anyways, on Spotify now, you can actually follow our podcast. You be up to date with every episode that comes out when it comes out. So you can never miss our voices every week. I know how much you all love that.
Yeah, I know I've made previous requests to come find us on the street and follow us, but way less effort to just go ahead and
Dude,
hit
on
that follow
Spotify.
on Spotify.
Way less illegal.
And we have more COVID misinformation than Joe Rogan. So, I mean, if that's what you're coming to Spotify for, then we get you covered.
We got it.
Yeah.
Before we get X'd, I'd like to say, you can also rate us on Spotify now. So please give us a nice fat 5-star rating on this, the day of our daughter's wedding. It would help us out a lot, or else you'll get the... That's right.
A little late,
Be
but I got
sleeping
it.
with the fishes, exactly. We'll put a horse in your head. A horse in your head.
We'll put a horse in your head.
Yeah, that's quite a threat. You have a killer headache.
That's what happens in the movie, right?
My father took Luca Brazzi to his house and told him, "You'll either sign this paper, or I'll put a horse in your head." True story.
I do it, and we'll give you guys an offer you can't refuse with more episodes of UMR. How can you refuse?
Wow. Man, I love all these quotes. We already got all the quotes we need for the episode.
I love it.
Right here.
I love it. But thank you for all the support you've done so far. Let's get it going. David is our residential podfather, podmaster.
Wow. That's quite the title, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, trying to force you guys to watch Godfather for years, and then it just seemed like this was the time to do it.
Are we men now?
You know what? I think so. I think in a traditional sense, you've seen The Godfather, you can officially be considered men. This is like your bar mitzvah, so
Wow.
It really is.
congratulations.
Am I going to get like a bunch of cash?
No.
Can I drink one wine and then call it a night before school?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
I can make that stretch.
Okay.
Nice.
So, shoot, I guess we don't really need to explain the plot of The Godfather. At least we shouldn't, but maybe we should talk about a movie at a time.
Yeah.
What were your guys' first impressions after finishing The Godfather for the first time?
Out loud, I went, dope.
Yeah. Straight up.
I went, dope. My brother had come home from like a shift at the hospital for the last like 20, 30 minutes and was just kind of hanging out. I told him, dude, this movie has the exact same runtime as The Batman. Way better movie.
You know
true.
what? That's crazy because it is. Yeah,
About
it's
2:30 or something.
It's long, but honestly, this is a movie that never feels long to me.
No.
Yeah.
I'm always like, all right, what's next?
Like by comparison, at the end of The Batman, I was like pissed about how much time I had spent. At the end of The Godfather, like I was marathoning part 1 and part 2 back to back. I was like, let's
wow.
go. I had
Dang.
lost none of my
Hardcore,
steam.
man.
I was like, let's hit it. I can't wait. And then I fell asleep like halfway through and had to finish it later.
Oh, okay.
I was very tired.
Yeah. It's not a movie you start when you're tired, but I will agree the pacing of the first movie, fantastic. At the end of it, I was just like, had that feeling, or actually midway, I think even like in the first third of the movie, I was like, damn, man, I really screwed up by not watching this movie earlier. This is clearly my kind of movie. This movie's great. The pacing's amazing. It's got actors that I love in it. The lines, the dialogue is great. It's really, I feel like the first one really builds out the universe a lot and really like really pulls you in.
It's a very rich universe, and honestly, maybe like a little hard to follow the first time you watch it. There's a lot of names.
Almost a Game of Thrones amount of moving pieces.
It's so dense that I think today we're not used to that kind of movie experience anymore.
No. Yeah.
You know, that
but they keep trying.
Yeah, they do, but it's just not quite the same. I think it's interesting about, you know, all the big names in this movie, because at this point, none of them were big names. Like even Francis Ford Coppola.
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando was a big name. Yeah.
And they actually like didn't even want Marlon Brando in the movie. So
which is so weird. Did he wear a prosthetic nose in this movie?
I don't know if
his nose doesn't really look like that.
It might be a nose. I mean, it's definitely a ton of makeup.
Yeah.
For sure. He's got I mean, because obviously he wasn't as old as he appears in the movie, but
right.
Which also, you know, the Godfather's got a lot of famous like lighting and things like that, especially that overhead light. They even call it the Godfather spot a lot. Dude, but apparently a big part of it was because they were trying to hide the makeup too. That's like why it's so dark at the beginning in his office.
It is quite dark.
Yeah.
I like, we mentioned that I had watched one of the featurettes. And that was one of the things they were talking about, like with the trouble they had making it. The studio hated how dark everything was.
Weird.
It's hilarious.
It's got like iconic cinematography, man. I was watching it every bit of it, and you could tell how much is borrowed in movies today's from this movie as far as cinematography, for sure.
Cinematography, and even just like
context.
It's really perfected that sort of fall from grace kind of trope, you know, that tale, which, you know, is Shakespearean.
The world is changing is like the theme. I got it. The world's changing.
But there's so many things. I mean, there's like, you know, especially in TV today, like Breaking Bad or like
Sons of Anarchy.
Dude, I was gonna say
the way they tie out the way Michael makes his big moves against the family is the way that Sons of Anarchy ends. He even has when he kills that dude on the steps of the courthouse. I was like, oh my god, 100% Sons.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking that exact thing, and it's Sons of Anarchy is also essentially Hamlet. So I guess The Godfather is essentially also kind of like Hamlet.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, in Sons, Jax isn't as reluctant as Michael.
Yeah, he's down for it.
He wants to do it. I mean, although JT doesn't want him.
Yeah.
You know, John Teller's
his father's reluctance.
Yeah.
And then eventually Jax's reluctance, and then he's right back in.
If anything, it's kind of the opposite arc of Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael's definitely, though, like a Walter White. It's kind of insane to me.
I really liked that about the story. Is like how reluctant Al Pacino was to step into this role when he's got so many other siblings before him.
And you know what else too? I just love the physical change of Michael that kind of goes, just the way his face looks and the way that they kind of age him and make him look throughout the movies is pretty amazing.
Speaking of like his face, I was like where of course we're tripping out about how young everybody looks, but there's that scene where Michael gets beat by that cop and his face is all swollen. I was like, wow, he looks a little bit more like Al Pacino now.
Now he looks haggard.
Yeah, I was watching some interviews like the 45th anniversary of Godfather, so 5 years ago, and they had all the cast together.
Nice.
And these guys do not look good, man. I mean, James Caan looks like...
Yeah.
He looks awful.
Like dude, right now he looks bad. I like looked up a recent picture of James Caan just to be like, is that James Caan? And I was like, mother of God. I was just like, he was just an elf. Wait, Elf was like 20 years ago.
You realized how much you had aged.
What?
Oh my God.
Yeah, he does not look good.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, and if you're listening to the podcast right now, you need to Google James Caan.
You know, like when you're scrolling through an IMDb like cast list, and like it's got like old vaudevillian actors, and you're like, who the hell is this old dude? That looks like James Caan now. He just looks like one of those old dudes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aw. Yeah, and then you got ugly young Diane Keaton in it.
Dang, rude.
I'm sorry, she is. I did not know that was Diane Keaton until the end of the movie, and And like I mean it. Raven said the same thing. She was like, "What? That was Diane Keaton?" I was like, "Yeah, girlfriend aged like fine wine."
You know what? I'll say this. I think it was more the outfits in the movie, because I was watching some behind the scenes stuff, like when they were doing test footage, and she looked a lot better. Before, like the outfits that they choose for that character are pretty rough.
Well, I think she's just supposed to be like a small town
super
like
innocent.
teacher, right?
Yeah.
Just this like not to say basic, but just like a wholesome, like simple life kind of girl.
And the funny thing is she's kind of based off Francis Ford Coppola's wife
Ha!
as the wasp looking into like an Italian culture family. Just the person on the outside looking in, like not really understanding culturally what's going on.
You know, the person who seemed the least Italian in that entire family, besides Hagen.
Okay, yeah.
Besides
The one who
Hagen,
was like,
Jewish?
outwardly not Italian.
right. Besides Hagen is the mom. The mom seems the least Italian out
I don't know.
of
She
all of
seemed
them.
pretty Italian. She looked like a mom. You know what I mean?
But she
she's
didn't
singing at
talk
the
like a
wedding.
mama. You know what I mean? None of them like. She didn't act. The rest of them acted like the family.
Yeah, the family.
You know what I mean? But
Wow.
she didn't act like the family, and she's the same person in the second one. And
yeah, she needed to be like hitting her kids more or something.
Yeah, that wasn't an Italian mom, like,
She needed to be stirring sauce more often throughout the movie.
or
Yeah.
yelling more.
Well, it's a very patriarchal family too, though. That's
true.
That's one thing. It's like the men are making the decisions. But weird fact, but Fredo is actually only 5 years younger than the mom in the movie.
Wow.
The actors.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So I guess they probably aged her up too, I bet. But that just really cracks me up. Classic Hollywood move.
I love the opening sequences of this movie, of Godfather 1. I love like just the wedding, the beginning of the wedding. You're
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know what I
wedding's
mean?
super dope.
Yeah.
It's very grounding. It starts to tell a little bit of the story already, but it's the best thing that it does is it puts you in that reality at that time.
Bit by bit.
Well, we're always like trash talking exposition dumps, like at the beginning of Tenet or something.
Yeah.
And this is how you
I'm
just
sorry.
this is how you do exposition though.
Oh, yeah. I missed it. Sorry, I'm slacking. Yeah.
I didn't say Inception. You know what I mean? But
There it is.
okay, that'll work. But yeah, this is a great way to do an exposition. I mean, we get the relationships in the family, we get the dynamics of all the brothers, and then we also kind of get to take the role of Kay as like someone who's totally new, and Michael kind of giving these explanations, sort of softly giving her information, but not really pulling any punches with it either.
Right.
Yeah.
Like letting her know, like, hey, well, like my dad has people killed sometimes.
He runs
That's my
the city.
family.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
me.
He runs the
yeah.
country.
But
Yeah.
100% is my family.
But it's funny. Like he does say that, but she's so flabbergasted to realize that the Corleone family is like a crime organization in like the second one. You know what I mean? Like she's just like dumbfounded by it. Some
Well, there's
regard.
a weird choice, not to like jump all the way ahead, but there's
Sure.
some weird choices with Kay's dialogue throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Especially the one that stuck out the biggest is in part 3. They're like having an argument, and she's like, you know what? I liked you more when you were just like a, what should call him, like a family like thug or something.
Yeah,
It was like,
like-
wait, he never was
He never
that.
was.
a
Like,
low-level mob boss or something like that.
Low level hood. That's what she
Yeah,
calls him. A
common-
low level
a common hood.
hood.
Yeah.
But it's like that was never Michael.
He was a polished
He was
soldier.
always
Yeah.
against it. He went to Harvard or Yale, was a war hero, and then like he immediately propelled to the top.
Yeah,
because everyone else died too.
He did one big move to help out his family, and then he had to leave the country.
for that one scene in the Italian restaurant, he was a hood.
Yeah.
God, I love that.
And that was it.
That was great. Hey, and they say gabagool within the first 10 minutes of this movie.
which
There's
is what Danny needed.
I needed it. I needed to know, where's the gabagool? Is it fictional? Is it real?
the gabagool.
Beautiful.
Oh wow.
But I also love how, it creeps you into the family insight a little bit more as an outsider when you're watching the wedding sequence and you're seeing like, oh, these guys will like assault the press for being there, but they also have the cops just stationed right outside, and they're not scared to like harass the cops being out there. And
He spit right at that cop.
Yeah,
Which
oh, yeah.
nowadays that's assault.
And making it very clear too, just like how powerful the Corleones are. Just like what they like, the people they have in their pocket,
Yeah, like everybody coming to pay respects to Don Vito and all that.
and then them even saying like, oh, these senators wanted to be here, but for obvious reasons, don't want to make their faces show.
Oh, they'll be here in the second part.
It's like, oh. Yeah, right. Well, and then also every
Things are a little bit
movie-
more lax in Cuba.
every movie starting with a party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The third one, not so much, but if you watch the re-edit, then yes.
Interesting.
Which is pretty cool. But
And so the five families in this mob fantasy, if you will,
yeah.
mafiantasy.
Mafiosity.
So the five families run like the five boroughs of New York,
Yeah.
essentially, right?
And if you play The Godfather for Xbox 360, you can take over those boroughs.
Dang.
There's really a Xbox 360 Godfather game?
The video games aren't in there anymore. I turned to
You got
grab
a
it.
phantom game
Phantom
case.
shelf.
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah, actually, a weird story about that. Like, I was in high school. You guys just remember like a Friday night hitting up Blockbuster.
I was thinking like, yeah, we
yeah.
were in high school. I
you
remember
guys-
going to
I
high school.
also remember Friday night.
You guys remember when I was doing the woogie? No, but there was a Friday night. I must have been a freshman in high school. I mean, I was super into The Godfather like as a middle schooler. So when like the game came out, I was very excited. Hit up Blockbuster. They had it. I rented it. I got home, maybe like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I popped in The Godfather and I 100%ed that game in one sitting.
Dang.
Like I played from like 6 p.m. to like 9 in the morning.
Nice.
Holy hell, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't think I've ever done that ever in my life.
Elden Ring vibes.
But I straight up I cleared every single borough. I took over. I did all the side quests. It's actually a really weird story. It's like you do a creative character. It's GTA, but it's New York in the 40s.
All right.
Which is pretty cool. The city feels right. The cars are pretty sweet. But you're like behind the scenes of all the big moments in the movie. Like when they leave the gun in the toilet at the Italian restaurant, that's you who does it. Like you're on that mission to go set it up for Michael. So you're like the Corleone's number one guy who's doing all the big things. It's a little cheesy in that respect, but it's pretty cool.
But it's cool to put you behind that.
They even made a second one too, but I never played it, and I heard that was really bad, so I didn't end up.
Best to skip it. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Just because it's out there, you don't have to watch it.
Sometimes maybe better left unseen.
So yeah, I was a little confused when I was watching the movie because it's 1972 that this movie came out, but it takes place in the early 50s.
Yeah, late 40s, early 50s,
Okay.
because Michael is just back from World War II.
Which ended in
45. But then, of course, you have the movie itself is a pretty long period of time. I think it's at least several months. Well, how long
it's like
is
5
it?
years.
No, it's
no?
got to cover some years because
Yeah.
when Michael comes back, like from Italy, like after he marries that
That's
pretty
right.
lady and
Yeah.
she just gets blown to smithereens.
Apollonia.
When
think
he
they say it's
sees
been-
Kay again, he's like, "Oh, I've been back a
think 2
year,
years,
maybe
right?
more than a year."
Yeah.
So like we take at least like over a year jump at some point after all these events have played out.
I think it's like 2 or 3 years, if I remember
And it
correctly.
takes Vito a long time to recover, right? It's like something like 6 months or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
it's a long period of time, man. They
Yeah.
really cover a lot of ground. Of course, you kind of have to make it believable about all the characters and kind of where they're at.
Takes a long time for stuff like that to flesh out.
Yeah, because
To bring up the Batman again, like I think the events of the Batman are like 6 or 7 days or something.
Yeah, it's
like,
supposed to be a really short amount of time. Just feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't remember. Is it Connie?
Connie.
Yeah.
Connie. Okay, Connie and Carmelo.
I forget what like her
Carlo.
full name
Carlo.
is.
Connie and Carlo get married in the beginning of the movie, but then they have kids by the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. And
so
yeah,
probably like 2-year-olds at least. or
and they
something
also
like-
get a very quick divorce.
I got a car outside waiting for
The
you to take you to
quickest
the
of
airport.
divorces.
Quickest divorce, yeah.
I mean, we're skipping ahead really quick, but the ending of this movie is just
Oh yeah.
fantastic.
Well, I mean, how should we go about this? I guess we could talk about some characters in particular.
Yeah. Feels like a good time for characters.
All right, well, this is our first watching. Frank, who was your favorite character in the entire movie?
I really like Donatello. I feel like he's probably the strongest of the turtles. No, I'm just kidding.
I like his weapon choice.
The characters really stuck out to me. Michael, of course.
Yeah.
I really like Tom because Tom is like the lawyer, you know what I mean? He's a family lawyer, but he's also
Consigliere.
he's got that mobster spirit. Like when he goes to talk to that director, he's killing it. You know what I mean? I haven't made any threats to you. He's got the perfect balance of mobster and lawyer in that scene.
He's the wartime conceit.
Connie's a hot mess like throughout the whole thing. She finally gets together by the end of the trilogy, but I just love how
barely.
Yeah,
pretty late in the
barely gets
trilogy.
together. Who else really stuck out in my head? I'm trying to think of like characters' names now, but it's all just getting mushed in my mind.
I love Sonny. I love how hot-headed
I do
he
love
is.
Sonny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, but you only get him in the first movie, so
Yeah.
You get him in flashbacks.
Yeah.
Flashback
Yeah.
heavy
Second
trilogy.
one.
a couple little ones, yeah.
Or about where they show like Michael wanting to join the army and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know who's funny too? Originally, the screen test for Sonny was Robert De Niro.
Dude.
Really?
Yeah,
That would have been a shame.
I'll get into that in the part 2.
but he doesn't quite have that heat that James Caan has. I mean, that guy can really.
I don't see De Niro being a hothead as much as
Yeah, he's not, and so the casting there is perfect because he has to have that really kind of crazed energy, which I think James Caan really brings. Not to mention incredible death scene. I remember like the first time I ever watched that.
Loved it.
I was like, I can't believe how over the top.
Dude, I straight up
Going with this.
gasped when they pulled at the toll.
Yeah.
And I was just like, huh? And then no.
Yeah,
It was
right.
Amazing.
It's like the moment the toll guy dropped the coin, it was like,
I was like,
bro, you need a duck
no.
too.
Yeah.
I think another character who's not one of the main characters, but a little bit more ancillary, although he plays some really big parts in the moving of the plot, would be Fat Clemenza.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Yeah, dude.
fantastic. The scene where he's like he's talking about his sauce and stuff, and then I put a little sugar. That's my trick.
Oh, when they're laying low for like months and
dude,
stuff?
I love
Yeah.
Clemenza.
Clemenza's great, and then you get him again, and we get young Clemenza in the second movie.
That's
And
true.
he's awesome in
That's
that
good
one too.
And
so.
Clemenza gives a nice parting gift to Carlo at the end of it.
Yeah.
Fredo's good at the role that he's meant to play as like a little bit of the buffoon. He's definitely not up to snuff to be able to. You can easily see why Don Vito made the choices he did on who should
for
lead the
sure.
family. You know what I mean?
I like Sollozzo too.
Sollozzo, yeah,
Sollozzo is
good
intimidating
villain
and
in the world of
conniving.
villains.
Yeah. You can tell in the first meeting that they have with Sollozzo, you're like, oh man, they're already down a slippery slope just by meeting up with this dude, man. You can tell, like, this is one of those things where, I mean, from an alternative perspective, if don't ask the mafia for a favor ever, but also don't have a first meeting with a guy like Sollozzo. You know what I mean? Because you're already in it, even if you respectfully decline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that like Vito has been, that he's just so good at playing the game.
Yeah.
And The Godfather is really about like it all kind of catching up with him in particular.
Yeah.
The world of the crime world changing.
Yeah.
It should go without saying, like Don Vito Corleone, like
The best in the entire movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he made this.
Danny is doing a finger flick to the cheek for our Spotify listeners, but
I don't think I had the gain turned up on his mic high enough to be able to catch that.
I also
audio.
love how many visible like face slaps there are in this, and not in a bad way. You know what I mean? Just like a,
oh yeah.
the cheek pinch and the cheek slap.
And one thing I do love is some of the terrible fake fighting in the movie.
Oh man, some of the worst stage punches I've ever seen for
Yeah.
sure. Especially when he's beating up Carlo.
That's exactly what I was
so
thinking
pulled?
of. When Sonny goes to beat up Carlo,
in the street.
you can see his fist not connecting with him. It's amazing.
And then when Carlo's just trying to like hang onto the fence and Sonny's just like pulling his leg trying to get him off of it and he's biting his hands. Oh man, I was laughing so hard.
I love how all the neighborhood kids are like, yeah, they like follow this dude getting beat in the street.
They're super excited.
It's
Yeah,
the 50s.
beat him.
Yeah.
That guy just said spick indiscriminately. Beat him to
Yeah,
death.
they don't hold back on that.
No, they really don't.
But I mean, hey, I have some old Mexican family members who are very racist too, so say things like that still. We all do.
There's quite a few racial slurs, but I mean, it's accurate to the time.
I mean, the 70s, everyone said stuff like that, just willy-nilly.
Much less like the 70s portraying the 40s.
For sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that was even more PC than the 40s was.
Yeah, it really could have been. Who knows, man? Yeah, who knows?
Do you have any other characters that stuck out to you, young Daniel?
Man, Vito Corleone was just too good. Sollozzo, and who is the dude that ends up being the rat who they say like who sets up the meeting? You'll know who the rat is by who wants to set up the meeting.
It's not
Sal.
It's not Clemenza. It's
No, Clemenza's a real one.
It's the other. It's
he's a number 2.
I always
something.
forget
See if I
his
can find it
name.
He's like a trusted handy guy. I think it starts with an S too.
Yeah,
Let me
it
see.
does.
I think it's Sal.
It could be
something.
Sal, but he's more known by his last name.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's also in Godfather 2. He's the other one that we get to see like in the flashbacks.
Brasi ended up being like he was ready to sell those dudes out really
That's
easy.
true too.
Luca Brasi?
Yeah, Luca Bratz.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't selling.
No,
them
he
out.
was doing it on
He was doing it
on
under
instructions.
under the instruction to pretend to be selling him out,
so that he
missed
could
that
learn.
part.
Yeah.
if anything, he's a real one.
He went down like a hero.
I mean, there's a lot of betrayal. You know, I mean, the one of the biggest ones is Carlo. You know, who's really responsible for Sonny getting killed.
But Carlo's in it from the beginning, right?
Carlo, you would think that was his plan all along.
I'm pretty
was to
sure
be like a sleeper.
Yeah, to
And
get
I mean-
married to.
And what a scumbag lure too. Like, I know this guy's got a hot temper. How do I get him out of his house? Oh, I'll just beat the crap
Yeah.
out of his sister, who I'm married to
Yeah.
and is the mother of my children.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a surefire plan, and it worked.
It
out.
worked,
I
yeah.
mean, it worked out.
Worked real good.
To clarify, Hagen was a street orphan that was adopted by the Corleone family.
Yeah, Hagen's not.
Barzini.
But
Barzini.
No, that's not him.
No?
It's
Not
him
That's
either?
one of the heads of the families. You know what?
Oh, that's the one that orchestrates everything.
Hand me that Godfather behind you. And something that I actually really would recommend if you guys have never seen The Godfather is
Borrow it from David.
Borrow it from me. No, there's a map of like relationships.
Oh, sick.
That's
and
cool.
that's actually like you know what though? I think this one is just
The family, huh?
the family. I don't think it'll be
Like the
in
blood
here.
family. Okay.
Mm,
Yeah, he's a darker skinned dude.
it's gonna drive me crazy now.
I honestly think that he is in The Sopranos. This actor that plays this guy.
You know what? This is so embarrassing, but I've never seen The Sopranos, and I really need to watch it.
I was trying to count how many people in the first Godfather are in The Sopranos, and I think 2.
It's Tessio. That's the guy we're
Tessio.
talking about.
Mhm.
I could not remember his name. Abe Vigoda.
Tessio.
And I'm pretty sure Pagoda's in The Sopranos. Let me see. Abe.
He could be. He's also in Good Burger, so keep that in mind. That could be who you're thinking of.
Wow.
Yeah.
The crossover event you never expected.
Well, you know, speaking of minor characters, though, a big one is El Martino playing Johnny Fontaine.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The singer wannabe actor.
I was wondering
Yeah.
who that was.
And he's supposed to be essentially Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because, you know, Frank Sinatra
Had ties with the mob.
had ties with the mob, and there's like a famous interview of them asking Sinatra about, you know, what he thought about the portrayal essentially of him thematically, and Sinatra essentially just saying like,
Forget about it.
I wouldn't be crying like that. Like I'm not some little baby. I don't cry about things like that.
When I'm mad, I just hit a lady and I get over it.
But they were even
essentially.
talking about how they like staged that thing with Johnny Fontaine with like paying girls to faint and stuff and creating like this whole thing. It's like, yeah, I was talking to Raven about that while that was going on. I was like, everyone puts like Sinatra as like a sexual icon or something, but the dude is so ugly. Like he is not
What's
attractive.
the Sinatra spoof in Hey Arnold? Dino Spumoni.
Dino Spumoni.
Dino Spumoni.
Doesn't he have? Isn't there some mafia characters in Hey Arnold? Or am I crazy?
No, I'm pretty sure there are some like there's
yeah.
like if they're not recurring, there's an episode where like
Yeah.
they kind of tangle with the mob a little bit.
Oh, I mean, so many TV shows like you have the mob from Futurama, the Robot Mafia,
Yeah.
Donbot. That's great stuff. And
The
actually,
clamps.
something that I really wanted to talk about, if you guys have never seen it, I looked it up today. It's season 4, episode 13 of Modern Family. Has an amazing Godfather spoof.
Nice.
That the entire last part of the episode is just like the end of the Godfather.
I mean, talk about strong writing. Modern Family.
Yeah, Modern Family really has a great formula. They hit it every time. But that episode is so funny. And if you haven't seen that episode of Modern Family, it has to do with Joe, the littlest baby of the family.
Okay.
Al Bundy's second son, or wait, I don't know, his youngest child that he has with Sofia
Yeah.
Vergara. But that baby having its a christening, its baptism, which sets it up just for that amazing parallel with the end of The
Beautiful.
Godfather. Which actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but the baby that's baptized at the end of the movie, which is supposed to be Anthony, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's actually Sofia Coppola
Huh.
as a baby.
Weird.
So She shows up in 2 Godfather movies.
That scene's so good too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's got, you can see like the vibes that like Al Pacino has from like The Devil's Advocate and stuff in that scene. I feel like just like the sinister nature, like as he's like accepting
Fellatio?
God into his life, and Felicio.
Wow.
Fellatio under the table at a business meeting?
There's
Is
a
that the scene
baby
you're talking
there.
about?
If people haven't seen Devil's Advocate, they're very confused right now.
We're
Check
talking
it out.
about baby right
Watch
now.
watch him look, damn it. Watch him look. Whoa, watch him look. Dude, how am I forgetting this ball of clay's name right now? We talk
Keanu
about him
Reeves.
so
Keanu
much.
Reeves.
Watch him look Keanu Reeves dead in the eye while
Yeah.
he's getting choopied.
Shout out to Bedazzled
Choopy.
/ Devil's Advocate episode.
Choopy wowies.
Choopy wowies indeed. Yeah, the going to the mattress scene at the end of that, where he's just in one move wiping out all the families.
Oh, yeah.
God, so
Amazing.
good.
Amazing.
Very exciting.
Fun little fact too. I guess right when they start the real war, and there's that little montage of
The real war. 5 strangers come into a house.
armed to the teeth. No, there's like a little montage where they're showing like newspaper clippings and
Okay, yeah. They're doing the Citizen Kane, like, yeah.
they're trying to catch you up with what's happening. That little bit was
Xanadu. Sorry.
that little bit was put together by George Lucas
Ah,
as just as a dear friend to Francis Ford Coppola. Put a little thing together for him.
that's
So,
lovely. Well, they had started that. This is not something I just knew. It's from watching that featurette. But they had started that like that film like company like in San Francisco together. So they're old chums.
Yeah, and in his George Lucas's wife, his first wife, I guess, also worked a bit on The Godfather, and she had said something about how like they really needed Al Pacino in that movie because he has the ability to undress you just by looking at you or something, undress you with his eyes.
Sounds like she's talking from experience.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow,
I think it's another guy that just looks better with age.
Al Pacino.
Yeah, I just don't feel like he.
He might be dropping off at this point. I feel
Well,
like.
now, yeah, but like we're talking like '90s Al Pacino, 2000s Al Pacino. That's probably
Yeah.
peak Pacino right there.
Yeah, The Recruit, peak Al Pacino, and then it's all downhill from there.
Insomnia, peak
Recruit.
Pacino, Dunkachino.
Dunkachino, yeah, after Dunkachino is a clear, like, that's like standing on the edge of the cliff. There was no coming back from Dunkachino.
But if
He
we're
was
talking,
6 feet from the edge, but on the wrong side.
Yeah, falling. Yeah, falling fast.
oh, we were talking about old actors being daddies, and I want to talk about the daddy of the daddies in Godfather II. Obviously, I'm talking about old Bobby De Niro.
Oh,
Okay, you say obviously, and the whole time I was like, what is he talking about?
What is he talking
Yeah.
about? Well, great timed, I think, to switch gears to
Yeah.
Godfather 2.
Yeah, this is an interesting undertaking because like the three of us, what can we say? What could we honestly be adding to the discussion of what is highly regarded as one of the greatest films of all time?
Yeah.
That's weird to me, dudes, because I gotta say I didn't like it as much as the first one.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like the pacing is a little off.
I like Godfather 2 a bit more, but I think it gets even more confusing.
It
does get more
It's for
confusing.
the same reason I like it a little bit more. That it does get more confusing because it expands on the world and it does, and you get the prequel stuff. You know what I mean? You get to see
Yes.
like Don Vito's rise to power and everything.
Which I think is the best part of the movie.
I was just gonna
And
say.
I think everyone who's seen this movie
that's
would
what
say that.
saved
Yeah.
the movie as far as being a little boring for me.
Yeah.
Like, I like what's going on in Michael Corleone's criminal empire and how like people are trying to get him assassinated and all that stuff. I get it's cool. Like, you're at the top of the dawn. But the Vito story really has more power to it.
And then you know what? I'm so sorry. Before we continue any further, I should have realized this when Danny said "daddy" like 7 times. Slipping his number to Daddy over here. Before we continue on to part.
Oh my God. Give us
two.
that first one.
Part 1, released in 1972, has a 177-minute runtime. Currently has a 9.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which might be a little bit low. 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is low.
Made on a budget of $6 million, had an opening weekend of $302,000 in 1972 money.
Dang.
And
Yeah.
has currently
We're talking
worldwide
like $1
grossed
billion almost.
$250,125,260.
Yeah.
That's a lot of clams.
Yeah, that is. It's funny when I got to the cover of Godfather Part 2 on at least, what was I watching on, like Apple movies rental or whatever, I was just like, Robert De Niro's in this movie? And then I like looked at the old picture of Robert De Niro, and then I was like, damn, he looks good.
Yeah.
And you know what? He
that
looks,
young Bobby D.
Yeah,
he
dude.
looks the best today, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's aged the best, Robert De Niro.
Like out of the cast.
Out of the
Yeah.
two?
Yeah.
Or okay,
Out of
okay.
everyone, yeah.
Yeah. He definitely does still look good. But I mean, I didn't realize how ripped Robert De Niro used to be. I know in Cape Fear. You guys seen Cape Fear?
Oh, dude, in Cape Fear, he's shredded.
He's shredded in that movie.
He's terrifying in Cape Fear, man.
But he's like lean guy in this one. He's more lean and he
Hey,
plays.
lean guy.
Hey, he's a lean, a gabagool.
Lean.
Wow.
Lean how?
What am I funny to you?
I love Robert De Niro's ability to play Marlon Brando playing Vito Corleone.
Yeah.
It
Playing
feels very
a
authentic.
third dimension of acting.
Yeah, I like his Italian to broken English. Like you kind of see the evolution of his language.
I was just gonna say that in comparison of the two, it's very clear that Al Pacino knows less Italian than Robert De Niro does.
But also he probably should.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Al
As far as
Pacino's
his character
playing-
generation.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing that second generation.
But I'm
Even-
pretty sure that like at least naturally that Bobby De Niro passed it better.
oh yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure the way it was working with Al Pacino in the first one and like in the second one a little bit too is like he was being fed the lines in Italian.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It felt more like
Robert De Niro like maybe studied a little bit more, like as an
or
actor.
knows more. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Al Pacino was doing it like David did for The French Dispatch,
Yeah.
but way less sexy.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Who's gonna bring that heat like me? Robert De Niro is not Italian though, just to be clear, which I think
Really?
and it's funny because he gets some criticism.
Did not know that.
People are like, he thinks he's Italian because he's been in Goodfellas and Godfather.
Is he
Part 2, but
Hispanic?
I don't know what he is, but he's
He doesn't
just-
get like an honorary Goomba certificate or something.
Wow. You certainly are going to get one like that. I'll tell you that.
I'm
much.
looking it up
I
right
wasn't
now.
looking for it.
Maybe I'm wrong.
You know what? I don't feel like family when I'm
Is
at
he
Olive Garden.
not?
Oh, you know what?
He
His
is.
paternal grandfather was of Italian descent.
Italian, Irish, German,
But he's
Dutch.
mostly Irish. Yeah, I mean, he's mostly not.
Interesting.
He's like Elizabeth Warren claiming to be Native American.
Right, so that would make him a grandparent makes you an eighth.
If that
of
grandparent
whatever. If
was
they are
fully
full
Italian,
yeah, then,
full Italian.
and it looks like it is for what I'm seeing the internets say. So he's then like an eighth ish.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
a little less than an eighth.
Okay, but I
Yeah,
mean
we need the numbers on Grandpa first.
he pulls it up. I mean he pulls
Yeah,
it off.
yeah. I mean, he plays it well. Also, okay, so like the scope of the
Not a sponsor.
story, the scope of the story, like I mean, in the first movie, yeah, you get the recreation of old New York and you get the scenes in Italy, but in this one, you know, creating New York in like the early 1900s, and
Yeah.
then you're also like going into like 60s Cuba and New York.
It goes all over.
And then Italy, like in like the early or like late 1800s, if anything, it's crazy. Like
It is really funny to hear them referring to like, oh, that crazy rebel Fidel. There's no way he
Yeah.
could win. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that this dude was making me laugh the entire time he was on screen, and I can't remember what his name was. The very flagrant Don in Vito's time, like the Don of the neighborhood.
Tomasino.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
what's
the
his
guy
name?
walking around
Or
in
no,
the,
it's
in the
not.
Don
black coat.
F. Don Fontanelli or something like that. I don't remember what
Fanucci.
Don Fanucci.
Don Fanucci. It's cool because he's so incompetent. Like he was getting away with murder.
Yeah,
literally
dude.
murder until someone came along who was just like a little bit smarter than him. Mm-hmm. And that's all that needed to happen.
He's just like, hey, well, I liked that was Vito's mentality. It was just like, hey, like we Italians need to look out for each other here. You know what I mean? And I'm looking out for our entire neighborhood, not just for my bottom line.
Yeah. Also, well, the thing for me that works so well about Godfather 2 is the parallel story that's set up. That
Yeah.
you have Michael and Vito, because the movie does a really good job of giving you a ton of time with each story. It's not quickly jumping back and forth. It's like, okay, here's like 25 minutes of Michael and then 20 minutes of Robert De Niro and then back to Michael for another like half an hour. It's a long movie for sure.
It was
but
good.
The way that it's jumping back and forth, but seeing like how they're both in their heads doing everything for the family.
Yeah.
but how they're both not really. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And how that works for each one.
It shows you like the justification that Vito had in realizing that Michael was the future of the family, even though he knew that Michael didn't want to be.
Although,
you know what I mean?
I think there's an argument that
He didn't.
it just no matter what, it wasn't going to work out. Like Vito is like a relic of that time, and that they were essentially like doomed. They couldn't continue that lifestyle forever.
Yeah.
There was no way.
There's like it's really cool. There's a couple times that somebody will mention to Michael in part 2, like, your dad, he was an old-fashioned guy. And like in part 3, you have people telling like you have people telling God, what's his name? The cousin, the forbidden
my cousin Vinny?
Yeah, the cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
They're like, your Uncle Michael, he's an old-fashioned guy. They all just age out eventually,
It's definitely like that famous platitude where it's like a king has his reign and then he dies.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot like Game of Thrones too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The world is changing.
The world is changing.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, it even shows you in Godfather Part 2 with Don, the Don from Italy that kills Vito's father.
That's hang on.
Gosh, I can't remember.
Roberto, Signor Roberto.
Yeah. And
Signore.
Roberto. But you can see, like, I mean, he's like a cutthroat dude. He obviously...
Well, he's going to murder that kid.
He's going to murder the kid.
Movie. Yeah.
And then times change, and then he's obviously too frail, but I love that. And he just guts him on the porch, man. He's like, you...
Oh, no, it's not him. It's Don Chichi. That's
Don
his
Chichi.
name.
That made me think of Cheech the entire movie. I was just like...
The old Cheech.
Cheech.
But then also... it's referenced kind of at the end of Godfather 3.
Huh.
The Don Cheech, the way that his life ends, versus Michael.
Okay,
But
yeah.
There's a lot of parallels. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Interesting. I thought that Vito was believable how Vito dies in part 1, but it was sad. I mean, it was like, aw, this great guy just died like playing with his with his grandkids.
Way worse ways to go,
There are ways worse,
especially for a mob boss, man.
But the dude had been through so much.
Just playing with your grandkid, die in your tomato garden, pretty sick way to go out.
Can we say, like, man, the people in The Godfather can take a lot of bullets?
Yeah. Dude,
But,
I thought Vito was dead.
To be fair, bullet technology is a lot more advanced now. Like, bullets cause way more damage now. It was way easier to like survive a
They
bullet.
were only using like what, 38s or something?
Yeah, for the most part, those guys were using 38s.
Yeah.
A lot of Browning high powers, which are like 45.
Aren't those 45s? Yeah.
A lot of
Tommy
Thompsons.
guns, they're 45,
Some
right?
weird submachine gun that I did not
a lot of things that you
recognize at
had to be up close to like really cause.
Bada bing!
Yeah.
Blood all over your fancy Ivy League suit.
Oh, you think you could? They did do the bada bing.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, don't get a guy when he's buying fruit. Come on now.
Yeah, it's messed up, man. Is there no honor?
I know, right?
Oh, speaking of the fruit thing, I mean, the oranges is kind of a...
It's a Hollywood thing now, right?
Yeah, like the references that when there's an orange, it's kind of I can't think of the word right now.
Omen?
An omen. Foreshadowing is the word I was going to use.
Okay.
Omen works.
Okay.
Of danger to come.
Interesting.
I mean,
Which is crazy because they're just really delicious and a great source of vitamin C.
The story goes that it wasn't intentional, that the set director just really liked oranges because he needed to brighten up some of these shots. There was like not a lot of color. It's like a very drab looking movie. So let's put this bright fruit in there.
You're right. They do heighten the contrast on everything red in the movie too.
Yeah.
Like the office and the suits and even the interior of the cars are like red and stuff. It's really cool, man.
But without that oranges, it would have been a really...
And you know what? The orange
deep
thing.
color palette.
That's part 1, right? Yeah.
That's part 1.
We're us. We're gonna jump around. What are you gonna do?
Sure.
Yeah.
But the orange thing is really cool because he's like he's out doing all this stuff and then he's like wants to just pick up some fruit, a nice treat for his family. Like that's something he's been doing the entire run of his family. There's that scene in part 2 where he like comes home and he's got just like a pear for his wife. You know what I mean? They don't have a lot of money, but he's treating his wife to like this nice fresh pear.
What
and
a
that's just
lovely
something
pear.
that like never left him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But he also is eating the orange when he dies in the garden.
yeah.
And Don Fanucci is getting an orange at that fair thing before he gets shot by Robert De Niro.
Oh, that's right.
So-
and then he just like flicks it up in the air.
Yeah.
I love when he discovers De Niro and he's just like, Hey, what do you got
What
there?
is that you got there?
He thinks he's so invincible that he's
Yeah.
just like, what do you got there?
What are you doing there, bud?
And his stupid gold tooth too. And it was just, he was great. He was a great character.
Yeah.
I love that when Vito starts gaining like notoriety in the neighborhood, and like he goes to help that lady with like the dog situation, and she's a tenant and all that. And that guy like is just like, who are you to tell me? And he's just like, what a character. And then he
threatens to like kick his ass up and down the street.
Yeah.
And then he just walks into him later, and he's like, I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
What
Oh.
a misunderstanding. Doug.
He's so nervous he can't shut up or figure out how to work the door.
Yeah, the guy's just like,
That's a really funny scene.
Yeah,
It kind of mimics the Mortician in the first movie.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
When he's talking to him, that these people are so afraid of him, but they also are like, I have to respect him. You know what I mean?
I loved it's so threatening. Yeah. He demands respect, but he's so threatening at the same time because he's just like you're not even my friend,
yeah.
and you come to me asking this favor.
When have you invited me to your house for
Exactly.
for coffee?
Even though my wife is the godmother of your daughter.
Yeah.
And now you're saying that I'm a hitman? Like,
And
what,
he's like,
what are you doing?
This I cannot do.
You don't even think to call me Godfather.
Beautiful.
Kiss the ring.
Kiss the ring. A lot of ring kissing in these movies. The second movie, we get the whole Cuba thing, which is cool.
That was interesting.
We get that play on historical fiction, which we talk a lot about on the channel. But
You get the interlacing with American politics.
yes. It also gets a little. I think this is where people get a little bit lost about like, okay, who is betraying who? What is Hyman Roth really doing? And
Hyman Roth was trying to kill.
yes, Hyman
Michael
Roth really
the
was
entire time.
Yeah, Michael's right. I love how many times in The Godfather we get things like, and at that meeting, I'll be assassinated.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
They
But
know.
they're always right. They
Yeah.
know, yeah. Of course, I think the biggest part that really works for me is the Frank Pantangeli,
Oh yeah, that double.
him flipping on the family, but then like all they had to do was bring his brother in.
Yeah.
Out of respect,
It was just
Yeah.
like you don't snitch out people.
you don't rat family.
And he like sees his brother there. He sees a real Sicilian there. He's like,
100%
what am I
with the
doing?
eyes just like,
Uh-huh.
are you a rat, bro?
Yeah.
Are you telling me
Which
you're
was
gonna rat right
hilarious
now?
because they were
Doesn't
just
even-
like, he doesn't speak English.
doesn't even speak English.
He doesn't even know
just
what's
needed
going on.
to
Yeah.
be there. He just
Yeah.
needed to see his brother there, and he was like, "I never knew no Don.
Yeah.
I made that stuff
I
up."
don't know what you're talking about. They told me that I was supposed to say this, say that. I said, yeah,
It's like-
sure. Anything you want.
Old Frankie Five Angels.
Yeah,
God, it's funny, yeah, like we get to see a lot of people get strangled throughout the carrying out of these three movies.
Hell yeah,
but
we do.
The when they try to assassinate Frank, I just love how bad it goes.
Oh, I
like
know.
that cop
Yes.
comes in
Yeah.
unexpectedly. They don't choke him out all the way. Like people are getting shot and run over in the street. It's so good. It's so intense.
this actually is kind of a sticky situation, like as far as the plot of The Godfather, because Hyman Roth is the one who puts out this hit, and the hitman says Michael Corleone sends his regards, but presumably
Yeah.
that hitman wasn't going to let Frank Pantangeli live. So he only said that to put a knife in him, like just
Maybe-
at that last second, just to make him feel
Also,
betrayed.
maybe like for the bartender, like
For anyone to
gossip,
hear.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they needed to have motivation for Pantangeli to betray the family, because up until then he wouldn't have.
Much like when Jax murders that Asian dude and then blames it on the Niners.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm still trying to clarify the end of it. Is it that Hyman Roth worked through Fredo to try and overthrow Michael?
Yes.
Hyman Roth worked through that dude. What's his name? Something Olum or something like that.
Frankiola?
Yeah,
No,
Frankie Ola.
it's
something
Johnny
like-
Ola.
Johnny Ola.
Johnny Ola.
And Johnny Ola and Hyman Roth are working together and recruit Fredo because they know that he's such a putz.
Yeah, he's such a putz that he gives himself up.
Yeah. Oh man, and the way that he he tells, "Oh, Michael, I've never met this Frankiola before.
Oh,
Nice to
yeah.
meet you. I've never met you
Yeah.
before." And then, like in the next scene, Frankie brings me here all the time.
Yes.
Or sorry, Johnny brings me here all the time.
Johnny brought me down
I
here.
love that look in Pacino's face, and he's just like, "You lying mother."
To be fair, he was really drunk and very distracted by what we're led to believe is quite a huge penis.
Yes.
Yeah.
By what's this guy's
They
name
call him
again?
Superman.
And this is a real person.
I thought that it was like a
Yeah.
tequila show thing.
How
like
big is it?
Not a tequila show.
A donkey show?
A
is what
donkey
you're thinking
show.
of?
Well,
That's Mexico. You're mixing up.
yeah,
your-
that's why I
yeah.
was just like, what's going on here?
I think that's being racist. Aaron.
Maybe it's just the length of the penises that I was mixing up. I
Oh man.
That's definitely the first time that phrase has been recorded on this podcast.
don't know.
But we also get the Fredo kiss, which is kind of crazy.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
That's just like a
You broke
term.
my heart.
Yeah.
I know it was you.
I know it was you, Fredo.
And he's just like, as long as my mom lives, you're safe. And I love that.
Yeah,
I love
man.
that. It's so foreboding.
Yeah, and the best part is he doesn't tell Fredo that. He tells like his button man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Fredo
Nothing happens
has
to
to
him.
live under the fear of death, but it's like, hey, listen, you don't touch my brother while my mom's alive. Hard wink.
Well, and this I think is really the biggest turn for Michael in that something Vito would have never done.
No.
Yeah, that's
to
true.
kill a family member,
family.
like a brother, even then. But what makes an incredible last act of Godfather Part 2, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
On the
God.
boat?
On the
Oh, yeah.
boat.
And
man.
even that now is like a trope in cinema.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like an homage to The Godfather is like the silhouette in the boat, one person left over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the amount of references that exist. I mean, it's just you can't even measure the cultural impact of The Godfather. It's insane.
No, there's a bunch of stuff that I've said that I've quoted out loud that I didn't know came from The Godfather. It was a very revelatory couple of days
Yeah,
for me.
man. Well, I guess the biggest part on top of the whole thing is that last scene of The Godfather Part 2, the flashback. Well, I guess it's not the last scene. It's like the second to last scene.
Oh, when he kills.
No, when they just show that they just take it all the way back to Michael enlisting in the army.
Yeah.
At the table,
dinner.
right?
At the table.
Yeah.
They're
And-
waiting for dad to get home to celebrate his birthday.
Which is
It's like,
funny.
you do this on your father's birthday.
Marlon Brando was supposed to be in it, and he
Oh.
just didn't show up.
Nice.
He just
He
didn't
was just
show up.
wasted.
So they were like,
It kind of plays
what do we
better
do?
that way. You
I think
know
it
what I mean?
does. It adds a little bit of like what's the word? Like almost mysticism to the character.
Yeah, and
that
it's
you don't
like
see him.
it's like, yeah, dad sure influenced all of us, but we all have like our separate outlooks on everything. Like this is who we are outside of our father, and you can kind of see you 100 because that was the intention. You see like where everybody goes after the death of their father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Marlon Brando was the absolute worst to work with,
Well,
like possible.
I mean, he always has been, right? Like he's just some
Worse than
monster.
Katherine Heigl.
Probably worse than Chevy Chase, to be honest. I've heard he was like unbearable.
Too bad we won't get a movie with all three. Yeah.
Oh man,
Catherine Heigl,
directed by
Chevy Chase.
Stanley Kubrick.
What would that movie even be?
Three Amigos 2. But yeah, you get that amazing scene of just kind of like getting the viewer to remember, oh man, this is what Michael used to be like.
Yeah,
Like this
straight
kind
laced.
of selfless, honest person, and then it immediately cuts to Michael right after having his brother killed. Like,
And
it's
you know what? My
crazy.
favorite part about that scene is like Fredo was the only one who like truly he has his only blood brother who like
Yeah.
truly had his back.
Yeah.
Like who was truly just
Yeah.
supportive of what Michael wanted for his life.
He was just a putz and a coward.
Yeah.
And would do anything to like be safe, I guess,
Yeah.
or be on top. I love that scene. I guess I don't know if it's in he's telling Fredo that he knows, but it's kind of like giving the death sentence to Fredo when Michael and Fredo are in that dock house or something like that.
Boathouse, yeah.
Yeah, the boathouse, and it's just snowing in the background, and just the way that scene is set up is just so damn iconic. I was just watching it, and I was just like entranced by the entire scene.
Like even the body language, like Fredo
Yeah,
is
he's all
like laying
lax.
flat
Yeah.
with his belly out like a submissive dog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It was really interesting how they did that.
Francis Ford Coppola, man.
Yeah.
And as a director too, gave a lot of free reign to kind of have the characters just add whatever they want,
Good.
mannerisms, and letting them kind of change the script on the fly and everything, which is kind of incredible to think about how tight it is.
I'm a subtitles guy. Like it doesn't matter what I'm watching or the situation. I'm a subtitles guy because I like to see I assume most of the subtitles come based off of the script, and there's
don't.
so much delineation between the subtitles and the actual dialogue in The Godfather, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3.
That's
To be
interesting.
clear.
I think honestly it depends on some captions, because some captions are like based on an algorithm that like plays the movie ahead of time for the captions.
No, these are like clearly
From
the creators of the movie
script.
put it in. The subtitles are like stylized.
Oh,
like,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Wow.
It's cool stuff.
That is really cool.
What about the numbers for Godfather 2, Frank? What do we got? What do we got for this one?
It's the second one in the Godfather trilogy.
Wow. Really?
Roman numeral II, Captain. Came out in 1974. Has the longest runtime of the series in 202 minutes. Has a 9.10 on IMDb and a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Made it on a budget of $13 million. It threw a little good bit more money at them for this one. Opening weekend of 171,417, but would go on to worldwide gross $47,960,785.
Still not as much as the first one though.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, I guess this is where we get into the Godfather 3.
Yeah.
So, Frank, what did you think about Godfather 3? I know Danny didn't
Go
watch it.
ahead.
What did you think?
I'm glad I didn't decide to watch all three of them in a row. Like I watched Godfather 3 today.
Oh, okay.
And
It's okay.
it was okay.
It's okay.
It wasn't a bad movie, you know what I mean? But it like comparatively to 1 and 2, it's nowhere near as not even groundbreaking. What's the one I'm looking for? It doesn't grab you by the balls the way 1 and 2 do.
Wow.
That's a good
and just keep your
nuanced
attention there. Yeah,
way to
that
describe
was the
that.
softest way I could figure out how to say it.
Oh.
And then there's like
What's the hard way? Sorry.
the weird stuff, you know, the weird cousin stuff happening throughout the whole thing. It's like
What stuff are you talking about?
I've heard about this before from you.
So we, I don't have to worry about running through our cursing budget because we've been pretty good. But cousins aren't supposed to f*** each other, David. And they're not supposed to want to f*** each other. And they're not supposed to f*** each other with their eyes across the room.
I like how immediately Sofia Coppola is just like, "Hey, cousin,
Yeah, what's up?
how are you?
What's up?
How are you doing?"
And then
cuz?"
she doubles down almost immediately just to be like, hey, just in case I wasn't perfectly clear,
Yeah.
we should knock parts.
And then what's even crazier is that like throughout the movie, people find out about it. Like
Yeah.
Michael finds out about it. He's like, "You can't be doing this. You can't be doing this. It's too dangerous."
Yeah.
And everyone keeps describing it as,
You mean like
it's too dangerous.
genetically?
No, that's exactly
Yes.
it. And in the movie, they're like, it's too dangerous because, he's going to be a mobster too.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's disgusting. That's the word you're looking for.
just
guys.
Even
don't
Kay,
do that.
Kay, their mom, is trying to get he's trying to get Michael to like, no, like she's in love. She's in love. Like you
Yeah.
gotta, like she's all about it. It's like no,
it's-
bad, wrong.
They're first cousins.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's a little baffling.
And we talked about like the weird like the grooming rules when we were talking about khaki pedophile outfits and Indiana Jones, and it's like there's a line at the very beginning when she first starts flirting with him like I haven't seen you since you were 15 and I was 8. So they like but they knew each other like when he was 15 and she was 8.
Yes. Already, that's where it should stop.
We don't condone incest here.
No.
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 I may joke about it, but I'm not about it.
So I watched actually the newest edit of The Godfather Part 3.
I feel like now I have to watch that one too.
It's retitled The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. It's 6 minutes shorter, and there's nothing new added in. But the movie, especially the very beginning and the very end, are rearranged.
Okay.
So the scenes aren't quite the same. And the pacing feels so much better. I have to say, I watched that edit, and I don't think I'll ever go back to the theatrical version.
That makes sense, because watching the first two movies, obviously I watched them because I had to, because this is what we had on the schedule.
Mhm.
But I didn't feel like I was watching them because I had to. Like I was into it. I was like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And probably maybe not even halfway through part 3, I was like, but I mean, I should, just so I have like the context. I should finish these. I should finish this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's got a pretty interesting plot idea. Like basically, I mean, I guess for Danny too, like it's like Michael is buying the company that the Pope controls and the Catholic Church controls.
Yes.
It's like Michael is at the top.
He's
now.
going to the world game.
Yeah, and he's an old man filled with regret, waiting to die. And
Because he killed Fredo and all
yeah,
that
I mean,
stuff,
all these decisions like haunt him. You
and
know what I mean?
At this point, he's actually trying, or really saying that he's actually trying to like go legitimate.
Yeah.
He's trying to separate himself from the other mob families. He's like, hey, listen, I've done very well for you guys. Like, you guys take it. You guys take it and run with it. But like this new venture, it has to be legitimate. This is like how I save my family.
And he just can't do it. Every time he tries to get out, they pull him back in.
Yeah.
It's just that part's really interesting. I think it's really compelling. For me, it's the cast that doesn't really deliver in this one.
Yeah,
you have Sofia
fair.
Coppola with a awful performance.
Do you think that he like wrote this character just to have
I don't
her
know.
in
My
there? I
favorite
have no
part of
idea.
Sofia Coppola's performance was when she died at the end.
And I mean, it's a very poetic ending. You know, it's a good ending, but it's just like so much of the movie is about her and Andy Garcia's relationship, who's my cousin Vinny, and it's just like too much. And then when they make Vinny like, oh, Don Vincenzo, I'm like, I really don't like this guy.
I don't get it. Yeah.
Those two, you know, and then also you don't have Robert Duvall back, even though Tom Hagen's still alive. He doesn't show up.
Yeah, it's like one line of dialogue, like, oh, I sure wish your dad was still around.
And it's like his son, you know, they have a Hagen there, but it's not, and he's a priest too, which is even funnier, but
Father Hagen.
Gosh.
Father Hagen. But yeah, Al Pacino does really well. Diane Keaton, I think they have some really great scenes, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's kind of like, to me, it reminds me the most of El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie.
Why did it need to be made?
Yeah.
If you just didn't do it, maybe it'd just be better,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
There's even stuff that feels like the I don't know if you plan on watching it. I kind of feel bad for spoiling it for you, Danny, but even stuff like the helicopter machine gun hit, it just feels like jumping the shark. You know what I mean?
It's a little
like,
too much.
yeah. Oh, we got to give them more explosions this time. We got to give the people what they want.
Or the stabbing the guy in the neck with the eyeglasses.
Yeah.
It just feels like a step too far, like a little too removed from reality.
Like perfect example of like how much better the early movies do it. I think it's the first one when when Michael's orchestrating that giant hit, that dude's getting a massage. He puts his glasses on. They shoot him right through the lens.
Oh, I love that.
It's simple and it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
so
Mo.
good.
Mo Green.
Mo.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is so simple. And then I love that one hit where he locks him in the elevator. I'm not in the elevator,
Yeah.
in the the revolving door.
revolving door, yeah.
Amazing.
No,
Yeah.
no.
It's amazing.
Sofia Coppola looks weird in Godfather 3. I mean, she's a baby.
Yeah, I think she's 19 in that movie. Before you go saying anything inappropriate, Danny.
I just said she looks
Oh,
weird.
I'm just trying to help you out, man.
She's just being a homie.
But I did see a recent picture of her, and she looks good. But that's Nicolas Cage's wife. Well done.
Aren't they cousins?
Are they?
But apparently she's into that.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Maybe I have that mixed up.
I think you do. Nicolas
Okay.
Cage is Francis Ford Coppola's nephew.
Interesting. Well, maybe they are. Maybe it's.
Maybe they are. Though. Maybe that's where The Godfather 3 got that plot.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Man, they should have just had Nicolas Cage play Vincenzo and really just.
Dude, that would have been dope.
Yeah.
That would have been great. I don't see Andy Garcia.
He would have been hitting it so much harder, and then Al Pacino would have been like, "Shut up, Vinny!" And then he would have yelled even more.
You know, one thing I do like about Godfather 3, I like a lot of the performance from Anthony, from Michael's son, who is like, no, I don't want to be a lawyer for your mafia crime. I want to be a singer. Yeah. And he's got, they like, because they use the theme so much to the theme song of The Godfather.
Oh, yeah.
But they like set it to words, and the words are actually just so reflective of Michael's life. It's some really good scenes. And then I love the opera. I love the opera ending.
Yeah.
And kind of the parallels of what's going on in the opera versus like what's happened throughout the story of The Godfather.
And speaking of the stage, I forget to mention the play that young Vito and his associate go to see in part 2.
Amazing.
Oh my God. It's it's super entertaining, and then when he hits the Mamma Mia, I was like, I had to like pause it and rewind because I like missed some stuff because I was laughing.
When the
so
Mamma
hard.
Mia hit, I was just like, that was an authentic Mamma Mia.
Yeah, it was.
I'd never heard such a strong Mamma
The
Mia in
context
my
was right,
life.
and the way it was hit was just so right.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Wow.
I did not know that Nicolas Cage's
Nicolas
name,
Cage.
Nicolas Cage,
Nicolas-
and his actual name is Nicholas Kim Coppola.
Kim?
His middle name's Kim.
Kim.
He's like an Asian man.
I also didn't know that he won a Golden Globe, a Screen Actors Guild, and an Academy Award. Did not know that.
Leaving Las Vegas.
For that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Well, I guess that's
Yeah, we spent as much time on part 3 as we need to, you know?
well, anything else about The Godfather before we get into maybe one of the most heated discussions ever in the podcast?
I can't wait to watch the first 2 again. I'm
I
like
forgot what's happening.
fully excited to watch the first 2
Yeah.
again and then check out the coda for
Yeah.
part 3.
I think I'll watch part 3 at some point. I just didn't feel the need to watch it right now.
Honestly, if you've never seen it before, I would just say do Coda.
Just watch Coda?
It feels so much more satisfying. The pacing just feels a lot better, a lot tighter, more watchable. I mean, you still have just as much Sofia Coppola, which is a bummer. But
What are you going to do?
yeah, I finished
At least
the
she's
movie.
pretty to look at, I guess.
I didn't hate it as much as like I remember hating it, that's saying something.
That's nice.
Yeah, I didn't realize it came out in 90.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a far way removed from the first one, but still, like, that was 32 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
32 years. Oh my god.
32 years ago, man.
Jesus.
That's how old you are.
Not yet. No, I'm 91. That's
Almost.
him.
I'll get there first. Yeah.
Almost.
I'll get there first.
Woo! Well, I guess that's gonna wrap up. That's gonna put the kibosh on the Podfather, and that's gonna kick us over to character limit extended.
Nice.
Hibbity,
I felt your lucha spirit in that one.
Extended.
We are talking about the disgusting pile
Groundbreaking.
of crap that is Final
Amazing
Fantasy.
film.
Wow, I
The
wonder how
spirits
you
within.
two feel about it.
Oh, this is
All
so
right,
funny.
David, this
Yeah.
was your birthday pick. You finally got us to do it.
Hey,
You-
I think you go first, sir. You have the shortest review.
Yeah, you're man of few words.
Yeah. Give us all your hatred and vitriol for Final Fantasy Spirits Within. I'm excited.
I mean, there's a lot. I feel like I've talked about it just randomly on podcasts that we've had before, but I still have the same vitriol that I had when this first came out in 2000.
You mean exactly 2 months before 9/11? It was 2001.
Yeah, it was 2001.
Yeah, but my vitriol was like towards like terrorism, and then Spirits Within came out.
No, other way around.
No, other way
It came
around.
out July 11th, exactly 2 months before 9/11.
You know what? That's another thing. Is it's
Do you think that's why they did it?
This was like a couple days before my birthday, so I'm sure I was just like, oh, cool, like a nice little birthday gift. I get to watch like a Final Fantasy movie.
Wow, I'm gonna clip this stuff off the internet and make a music video to it.
Exactly.
What a little nerd.
Except I probably couldn't have done that back then.
No.
For
Dude, I had to
context,
shaky cam it.
For context, Danny is like a huge Final Fantasy fan.
And I've been for a long time.
Yeah.
Clearly, at least 22 years. And I think this is like right after I played Final Fantasy VII. So that's like 1997 or so.
Yeah.
Or Final Fantasy VIII. And I just remember seeing like all of the commercials for this movie and just being like, what part of this is Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
I'm like, what game is this based off of?
It's the
Like,
guy.
You know?
Yeah.
I just remember
It's the guy who made the things.
even before seeing this movie, just being like, I don't know anything Final Fantasy
I mean,
from this trailer.
just to get heated immediately. People always say this. Well, it has nothing to do. Every Final Fantasy is different. Like, none of them are even connected.
They're all fantasies.
Like, imagine if you played Final Fantasy 1 and then immediately played 7. You'd be like, this isn't even the same universe. What's with all this technology? This isn't even the same thing.
I
You know
definitely,
what I mean?
I get that because they are all contained stories.
Yeah.
Except for maybe 10.
There's a couple. 10-2.
10 and 10-2.
There's things like that.
But 10 and 10-2 was just like, let's give them crop tops and guns and make like a girls get it done game. That's essentially what it is.
years ahead of the time. They were
on it.
They were ahead of the
but
curve.
it was not for noble intentions. That's for sure. It was definitely a thirst trap for a game.
Yeah.
Which this movie was also a very expensive thirst trap.
Is it really? I didn't get this.
I don't think,
dude, it
was a thirst trap. I think you were just attracted to the character.
No. This is a archived thing. The fans were so thirsty for Aki that the movie studio, or I'm sorry, Square, like made a generated version of her in a bikini to put in Maxim as like sexiest lady alive.
Yeah,
alive is a stretch.
Okay, and there's a bit of befuddlement in this telling of this story. Maxim has like a hot 100 list they do every year.
Maxim is a magazine for those kids listening.
And I think Aki was like number 87.
Still weird.
It was like one image produced for that magazine. I don't know if that makes an entire movie a thirst trap.
Well, you got to think about it in context, David. It is the year 2000.
Nerds be horny.
Yeah. Nerds were still horny back then, but it is the year 2000, and I don't know if there was much CGI hentai to please them.
Interesting. There's almost nothing.
I don't know enough about hentai. I got to phone a friend.
Let's get our expert Tino on here.
We can get Frank's, because Frank had never seen this before, but there's very little sexual appeal with this character.
I know.
No sexual appeal, but I'm strong enough to admit that at one point I was like, did they have to make her ass that sculpted? Because they're like focusing on it.
You know what they did?
They made that ass really nice. Did they have to put all that detail into that ass?
Well, did you see?
It's Japanese.
You know what numbers, Daddy? Do you have the numbers for this movie?
Yeah, what is the numbers for
I can
because they're
easily
ridiculous.
look up those numbers.
Yeah.
I IMDb'd this movie like 7 times today.
The amount of money purely went into boob jiggle. Clearly, and
I didn't notice a lot of jiggle.
I mean, there's none, Danny. I feel like you're not even. This is an unfounded criticism.
I feel like it could be a better predecessor for a Dead or Alive movie.
Parents' Guide, sex and nudity, none.
Yeah, this is a very unsexual movie.
I mean,
she's
for
in
sure.
the suit the whole time. They don't even like.
But it's a skin tight
They
suit.
definitely had opportunities where they could have had her stripped down, like in the hospital or something.
Yeah.
And you gotta respect the choice in the Japanese to not do that, to have the reservation to not do that. It's insane
it takes
to me.
a lot of energy.
If
for them
I'm
to
not
hold
mistaken, she's the only female character in like the entire movie too.
What are you talking about? Did you rewatch this movie?
I
Danny?
did rewatch this
I
movie.
feel like maybe you didn't.
I did.
Who's the other female character? I'm having trouble remembering.
From the Bright Eyes, or what is the name of their squad again?
Oh yeah, but it's because she like dies.
Tough military chick.
To our credit,
Jane.
there's like that joke where they're like, "Oh, even she thought you were a dude."
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair too, there are not a lot of characters in this movie.
There's like 5.
There's the team.
There's Alec Baldwin. There's
Yeah.
James Woods.
Ving Rhames.
And Ving Rhames and
Steve Buscemi.
It's weird
yeah,
seeing
it's
Steve
weird.
Buscemi play like the hot comedic guy. He's playing like a Ryan Reynolds role.
His face didn't fit on, like, his voice didn't fit that face, you know what I mean? Final Fantasy Spirits Within, released in 2001 with its 1 hour and 46-minute runtime, has a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 44% on Rotten
That's
Tomatoes.
way too high.
It's not a bad score at all, really.
Yeah, made on a budget of $137,002,001.
That's ridiculous.
Had an opening weekend of $11,408,853 in the U.S. and his worldwide gross $85,100,000.
Still never made its nut.
830. No, yeah, it's like widely considered a flop.
Never
box office
got
wise.
near its nut. I mean,
apparently some people did.
it got other people near its nut.
Apparently, Danny, I don't understand this fascination with.
I'm
this
sorry, I am not the thirst trappee.
To be fair, you are. I believe it's fair to call you the founder of the Thirsty Threesome.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah, but not for this movie. Definitely not.
The thirstiest.
Like, okay, this movie does hold up visually.
Oh yeah,
It's great, and
This
it's
movie
still a
came out-
beautiful movie.
This movie came out the same year as Shrek.
Yeah.
And when you think about those two movies side to side, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
nuts.
I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of care and time put into the visual effects clearly was not put into the story or the screenplay. It's just that It's a story.
When you attack the plot of this movie, that means you're also attacking the plot of Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Interesting.
It's the same story.
It's like the same story, but it's also the same story as Ferngully and Avatar.
Dude, I don't think so, man.
I think it is.
You know what?
I
No,
disagree
I
with you so much on
You know,
on some of
after my
these.
watch today, I was trying to think about like what I'd compare it to, and I was like, I in my head I was like, is it like Ferngully and Avatar? But it's vastly different. It's just the air of like
Or eco-terrorism.
the air of like the focus on the spirit that lives inside every living thing on the earth. That's like the closest it gets, but it's just that part of it's just that theme that's really it.
Okay, so there's these phantoms.
Yeah.
And they're killing people. And it's making it hard for life to thrive on Earth because they keep killing.
Well, they kill everything. And at first they think they're aliens.
Right.
And by touching things, they like literally suck your life force out of you.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
I mean, it's pretty
Which
cool.
that part is cool.
Pretty metal.
But then it's like, okay, wait, there's a spirit living within Aki. And it's the 7th spirit of 6 previous undefined spirits.
8th spirit, isn't it?
No, they're looking for
Are
the
they?
8th
Yeah,
spirit.
because they have to go and try to find
That's
the eighth.
right. That's right.
But the 8th spirit is the planet. It's Gaia.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's
It's
not.
But
It's-
the spirit comes to find her, but I don't know.
Dude,
where
it's
the spirit
so
comes from.
dumb.
You know,
It's-
there's something that was edited out of the movie because they thought American audiences would
The
think
shower
it's
scene?
too dark. Well, no, it's that she has a child
Oh,
with
yeah.
the captain.
Because her womb kills like the spirit.
Well,
Or-
it's the unborn baby inside of her that's the 8th spirit, which is what.
see, that's better.
They take that out of the end of the movie. They edit that part out. There's a couple visual cues of it in the movie.
Homie
But-
was like, I'm pro-choice. We got to take this out of here.
It makes it a little confusing. They're like, man, Americans aren't ready for this. This is too
Yeah,
much.
this is very Evangelion. We gotta like be careful
This
here.
is too Japanese.
I mean, it could have gone that way and been, it could have gone that way and been a little more logical or made more sense. I don't know. It's just, it's not that it doesn't completely make sense. It's just that it's just held together by the thinnest threads possible.
I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I don't think it's that convoluted as far as like sci-fi goes.
No.
Here's these aliens. We're gonna find out what we know about them. We're gonna create some sort of wavelength. That's how we keep them out of our cities with these energy shields that we've created.
They don't think they're aliens at first.
They do. They think
do.
they're aliens for
Yeah,
the entire movie.
Or the spirits. I'm sorry.
and that's the reason why.
But when they find out they're spirits, it's like, oh, that's unbelievable.
Well, yeah, because they're like, that doesn't make any sense. You have Aki and Dr. Ross, who are like the two people who kind of believe more into the spiritual side of it. And they're sort
spirit
of
scientists.
They're socially outcast because of these beliefs.
They have the Gaia theory.
Yes, the Gaia theory. But that ends up being, but as far as like, and this is even funnier because all they're doing is they're doing a bunch of fetch quests to find, to find all these different spirits to save the world. It's like, that is a Final Fantasy game.
Interesting. No, there's no clear.
No, I thought there wasn't any point where I had to pull up a menu and choose my action, move a space on the little chessboard.
There was no attribute changing. There was no weapons.
No, this is real time Final Fantasy. This is Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, so then it's
era.
not Final Fantasy.
Although, you know what's funny?
I don't want to do any of that. Just leave me alone with my Final Fantasy tactics.
It is kind of funny the combination though, because like James Woods is in this movie,
Yeah.
but he's also Hades in Kingdom Hearts.
Interesting.
Like James Woods exists in 2 places in the Final Fantasy universe.
James Woods' character in this movie is like, they both have the same goal. They both want to like kill the spirits, right? Or they both want to stop the
well, they
spirits.
both want humanity to stop being murdered.
Right.
Yeah.
And one has a proven method that's been working, and that is that Zeus gun. But he goes way too hard on it.
No, it's unproven.
Oh, okay.
I feel like you didn't watch this movie.
I did watch this movie. I just
I'm
didn't
calling
care
you
enough
out right now.
to try to like
You were
it.
folding laundry while you put this movie on.
I did. Actually, I was folding laundry while I watched Godfather Part 3.
Well, it's
If
a long-
anything,
yeah.
I was probably on
was like, I
vacation
got
in
things
my
to do.
head when this movie was on because I was like, wow, I'm making a better story in my head than this nonsensical crap.
They've never used the Zeus cannon before. It's an untested weapon that they think is going to wipe out where all these spirits are coming from.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he keeps yelling like, "Where's your proof?" And he's like, at the same time, like, "Just let me shoot it."
Yeah. I mean, he has no proof, but he's like convinced that he's the one who knows.
He's hard on the military solution.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic. I'm pretty sure the same plot was in Small Soldiers.
This is a pretty like
just nuke them.
Yeah, this is a trope that's in a ton of movies. You know, you have the scientists. It's like a Day of the Dead. You have the scientists who are like,
pretty sure it's the same as in.
We're almost on the breakthrough, and then you have the military guy who's like, let me just blow things up.
Yeah. And it's in South Park, bigger, longer, uncut.
Yeah,
and it's in Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, it's in so many movies. This is just an old trope.
Again, not a great movie.
Well, one movie not successfully pulling off a trope that is very famous in a ton of movies.
One very expensive movie exploiting a fan base that's very loyal to pull off a movie that's been done before. That brings no.
I mean, no movie has ever done this before.
No. The
aliens
story
that end up being ghosts that rip your spirit from you. Like this plot is so insane and outlandish. Like, yeah, some of the tropes have been done, but the plot is pretty original. This isn't something that happens all the time. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like humanity on its last stand, yeah, that's been done a ton. But as far as the plot of the movie, that's kind of maybe something about the movie I've always really liked is that it's taking something that is just totally insane.
That doesn't make sense.
And well, I mean, what part of it doesn't make sense?
Actually, I have so I had the longest review, so I was going to do my extended in the form of questions that I still have that I don't have answers to after watching this for the first time. How do they know that the magic number is 8? Like, how do they arrive at this?
It's a sequence. You know what I mean? They have pieces of the sequence, and then they know how much more they need to add.
Did they define?
Why do they know?
Did they define what the 6 spirits before were? No.
They're creating like the opposite wavelength in order to cancel it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're inverting the wavelength of these spirits.
So they found out it was an 8-part sequence from like
by having some of the early parts. You know what I mean? This is what we're missing.
That makes sense to me. I feel like I had more I was thinking of them the whole time, but I wasted a lot of my. I feel like I might have looked doubtful when you were talking about It's Never Been Done Before, but I was just trying really hard to think of another movie plot with like aliens. I was trying so hard to think of like people's souls getting pulled out of their bodies.
Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah. But that wasn't before this. That was after. I think.
What is the 8th spirit? Is that explained at all? Because all
not Gaia, right?
It's not Gaia, but she's like the 8th spirit found me. And with that cut out, like, don't they kind of just leave that unanswered?
So the 8th spirit is originally a phantom spirit, right? And they're going because they find the spirit with their tracking technology or whatever.
Yeah.
But then
their Fish Finder 3000.
Homeboy hits it with the galaxy laser and kills the 8th spirit
and blows himself up.
But that 8th spirit, when is dead, returns to Gaia.
When the spirit is dead?
Yeah, when the spirit is killed, it is returned to Gaia. And what happens? Like, all life is just recycled.
Ooh, and that makes sense because of the dialogue piece with the 7-year-old girl. She's like, yeah, you're
and
they
set that up earlier in the movie. Yeah, they set it up as part of the earlier story. So life is never gone. It's just, it comes back. Nobody's ever really gone. Again, way ahead of the curve.
Oh, God, I feel like we're in such a dystopian future if every freaking piece of film that comes out now that says nobody's ever really gone was actually referencing Final Fantasy spirits with it.
It is.
I don't want to live in this Berenstain future.
But you know what? You do.
I know.
It's the blueprint.
I'm just going to take myself out. This is much easier.
But you'll be back.
Oh, damn it. I'll just be an angry spirit in a subplot mediocrity movie.
And again, this part's a little bit gray, but in the movie, originally, the idea was that spirit was reborn in the fetus that is the embryo that's inside of Rocky.
Which would have been much better.
Much more metal.
It would have been cool, but
I would have been like, yeah.
Maybe it would have scared people off. I don't know.
They're taking their kids
more than
to
they
see
already
this movie.
had.
This is also the same year that Pokemon the movie came out, where people were thinking that satanic Pokemon cards were causing our youth to love metal and vaginas and stuff.
Well, obviously it was. But I will say that I think this movie, and especially from the box office scores, it has a huge problem of like, who is this movie really for?
Right.
Because it's
clearly not for Final Fantasy fans.
Yeah, it alienates Final Fantasy fans because they're all like,
nerds
and soy boys. And then, like, maybe a little too out there for just average adult. It was made for like teenagers in 2001,
and it's not even liked by like. You're a sci-fi fan,
yeah,
but like the sci-fi people that I know that are really into sci-fi don't really like this movie.
I'm gonna say those people are idiots. You know,
Yeah,
this is the hill I'll die on. This is an underrated sci-fi.
That's really freaking weird.
Gem. This is the hill.
Die on, dude.
This is the hill. Final Fantasy
really
Spirits
strange.
Within, sleeper hit.
I felt like it was pretty accurately rated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Like-
6.4 is a pretty
I
decent
think
score
it's
for a
pretty
sci-fi
high.
movie.
I think it's way too high for
like,
that.
what's the thing? You know what I mean? 7.2 or something?
It
probably?
is higher.
Yeah.
It's definitely higher because it deserves it and makes more
Double
sense.
check here.
But
I feel like the Rotten Tomatometer is more accurate than the IMDb.
thing's got 8.2, y'all. Dang.
Yeah.
8.2
That's right.
out of IMDb.
What's-
That's pretty crazy.
What's the thing?
Comparatively, that thing you do, 7 out of 10.
sequel? This movie has the same IMDb score as The Thing reboot.
Well, that makes sense. A lot of money.
And it's got better visual
Where's the
effects.
face-off line?
I was gonna say-
7.2?
Oh, Face Off's way
no,
too
Face
high.
Off's like 92%.
Dude, Face
Or
Off's
90%, I'm pretty sure.
7.3 on IMDb. But I think Rotten Tomatoes, it's a lot higher.
It's like 90%.
Nice.
You know, as I think like as of 2015, this was the highest rated video game film of all time, like
That's
on Rotten Tomatoes,
So weird.
sitting at 44%.
But it is.
It was the best one.
But it also makes sense looking at what we had before that.
Sure.
You know, I wonder if this movie was just called The Spirits Within,
This didn't
how
have
differently
to be a Final Fantasy
it would be
movie. Yeah.
received.
Yeah.
But
I
it-
might
Yeah,
like it
that
better.
probably would have been a good idea.
yeah.
But then it wouldn't have had the financial backing or the marketing behind it.
Well, it's also the studio kind of experimenting with this technology that'll
Yeah.
go on to be used in Final Fantasy games, but also it's going to be flexed in the Animatrix, because this is the same studio that does the Final Flight of the Osiris at the beginning of the Animatrix.
A lot of the reason that this movie was made was because Squaresoft was able to flex so hard on their CG skills in
Yeah.
all of the Final Fantasy games.
And just to put it into perspective, this is straight from the Wikipedia. I was reading this today. A render farm of 960 workstations was tasked with rendering each of the film's 141,964 frames. Took a staff of 200 about 4 years to complete.
So that means they started in 97
Yeah.
doing
yeah,
this?
dude.
And,
That's
and apparently,
nuts.
by the time they got to the end, they had to go back and redo some of the beginning because the technology had changed so much in 4 years. But honestly,
It still looks great.
I'm impressed with how
Yeah.
good it still looks. I mean, there's
And-
some stuff that's a little bit weird, obviously, but for 20 years, a
I
CG
think
film.
the weirdest part for me was the slow motion jump, like onto the platform. I was like, oh, that did not look
well,
pretty
some
at
of the
all.
facial expressions are very.
Which took a long time
Sure.
to get right. I
I mean,
feel
this
like,
was pre 2000 something.
like Red Dead Redemption 2 barely got it right. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Well-
even as far as like PS3 games didn't look quite right.
Yeah.
The facial features.
Truly.
This
I
is a
mean-
newer thing.
This probably has the closest in cutscene, like comparable in like I don't know if you've played Final Fantasy X. You have, right?
Yeah.
The cutscenes are really good in that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
And this is probably the most comparable to like the facial expressions and how they were. They were like at that technology at that time. But I think that's the thing that's the most alienating too from this movie is that the performances, like the vocal performances, are pretty subpar. And it
I
also
thought they were good.
You really think so?
I don't mind the performances. I think though that it's got some like 1950 sci-fi writing,
Yeah.
which is either going to kill it for you or add a layer of charm. But like some of it is very intentionally corny, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
And exposition heavy and-
dialogue. I was like, it's
nothing
I really
special.
don't like this movie, dialogue wise. But I felt like the delivery that the actors were presenting was believable in the situations they were in.
I like the crew, like the soldiers.
Yeah.
Ving Rhames, Steve Buscemi. They have a nice little banter with each other.
I feel like Aki is one of the weakest characters delivery wise.
And you know what? Aki's actually like not that big of an actress compared to everyone else. But
Mia-
Well, she's Asian. They're a
Nair-
small people, David.
But she is the voice of Mulan in the animated Mulan.
Oh,
movie.
and that was just after 97 ish. So
Yeah.
she's pretty big then.
Yeah, this is when things were hot.
Yeah. Szechuan sauce at McDonald's was around at this this time.
If without her, maybe we would have no Szechuan sauce.
Exactly. She's arguably the reason for it this season.
Matt Dillon was supposed to play Captain Gray.
I probably would've liked
who went
that better.
to Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
But apparently the guy we went in to record he saw the footage of Final Fantasy Spirits Within, and he left in a rage because he thought that they were trying to cut out actors. Because at the time, people were like, this is going to be it. This is the future of cinema.
And it kind of was.
We're going to have CGI creatures, you know what I mean? Which is kind of true, but you can't replace actual people on camera.
Yeah, but I mean, look at how much cheaper CGI animation is to do great stuff now. I mean, like, Disney is almost exclusively CGI stuff now.
Yeah, that's true.
You know
Although
what I mean?
I have been kind of, as like Pixar has accelerated their rate, that, you know, they have a couple, like Turning Red, for instance, just came out.
Is that a Pixar movie?
It's Pixar.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to watch it then.
And apparently it's like, people are like, it's okay.
Weird.
Wow,
As
which
opposed
is crazy
to-
for Pixar.
As opposed to like Pixar, when a Pixar movie used to come out, it was like, whoa,
Bam!
have you seen Toy Story? Oh my God. You
Well,
know what
that's
I
the thing with the most recent one that I watched was Onward, which is before the last one that came out, which was Luca. And my sister watches all of them, and she'll give me like an accurate review of it. She was just like, just Luca's crap.
Yeah,
which I was
that's what I've
surprised
kind of
about.
heard. You know,
Yeah.
There's been a few that are just like, well, you know.
Onward was great. Soul was the best, arguably, in like
I've
the
heard
last
Soul's
a long time.
been a huge one, yeah. But
But yeah, it's weird that Pixar's kind of fallen off the rocker, at least right now. They're in a downturn. Everyone's going crazy about that Encanto movie, and I'm just like, but that's Disney.
that's just straight Disney, yeah.
yeah.
Tuno Encanto.
I mean, to me,
no
this,
Encanto.
if anything, kind of predicts how video games would go in the future. You know, like
Damn, they
photorealism.
replace CGI characters with real actors in video games.
Yeah, right. Which is even crazier. Yeah. Now you actually get Steve Buscemi in your video game.
I would even argue that like Spirits Within does have better graphics than a lot of the cutscenes in some semi-modern day video games. You know what I mean? Like then the whole Mass Effect series, Spirits Within, kind of looks better than the Mass Effect series.
Oh, for sure.
And
Like,
that was like 15 years later.
as far as the rendering and like the physicality of a lot of the characters. For sure.
Damn, can you imagine the hum of the computers? Just like
Dude.
think about like when you go to render like a video, you know what I mean? Like
That room is on fire.
yeah.
Dude, I can't. This movie took an insane amount of manpower to like make a mediocre film.
Get one more dig in. I love it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see what. I mean, I know most people do not like this movie, but I think that there's a lot to love about.
Give
Spirits
us your
Within.
justification
Yeah.
in the comments. I am genuinely interested to hear why.
And what do you all think? Did Danny watch this movie? I don't know. He failed to recall basic parts of the plot.
I think the best way to put it for myself, like if I could sum everything down, is like I was impressed, but not.
I was still impressed.
Delighted.
Yeah. I was impressed because the visuals was all it's got. And that's it.
10 out of 10. Spirits Within.
Happy birthday, David.
Yeah, you're welcome, David. Well, I guess that's going to kick us over to Oh, that's interesting. The news segment where Franklin is going to tell us something that may be interesting. It might not be.
Probably not, though.
This isn't. Oh, that wasn't very interesting at all. This is. Oh, that's interesting.
That's right. That's right.
Just kidding. Let's see.
Where are we on your Yu Yu Hakusho play, by the way? Where you're supposed to be playing like a bit of it every episode until the end of the year.
I always just started over. I haven't been keeping track of it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, to be fair, we're not there yet.
But that's next segment.
Yeah.
Unless Frank has some Yu Yu Hakusho news, which is unlikely.
You know what? Funny enough, David, I don't. As successful as as successful as Seth Rogen, I had to replace some words. It's not how this article's written, but I didn't want to read the whole thing. As successful as Seth Rogen is, when it comes to getting projects off the ground, there's always room for a helping hand. Even the biggest stars don't necessarily get the support from studios that they need, and Rogen's no exception. However, Rogen appears to have an ace up his sleeve in the form of his mom, Sandy. Hey, Sandy. I didn't plan that, but it felt right. And now I know it was wrong. The This Is the End star recently admitted via his Twitter account.
Wait. That's the credit they give him for? This is the end stuff?
Yeah, well, that's the world
weird.
we live in.
I
man.
mean, it's the biggest flopping demon penis that I've ever seen.
It's true. It's still a good movie.
Freaks and Geeks star.
They talk about Freaks and Geeks earlier in the
how
article,
funny.
but I'm skipping around. This is from ScreenRant.com.
Donnie Darko star.
That's great. This is the End Star recently admitted via his Twitter account that his mom had emailed the head of a major movie studio to hurry up and greenlight one of his most recent projects.
Sausage Party 2.
There is no word yet if the effort was successful, but this is the tweet verbatim. Did my mother just email the head of a major movie studio to get them to hurry up and greenlight our movie? Yes. Yes, she did. At present, it's unknown which project that it is that Sandy Rogan stood up for, but the mystery will likely be solved if and when the studio decides to greenlight it. It just goes on to say, like, given in the past, he's like done all the stoner comedy, so you can be safe to assume it's probably going to be like a stoner comedy, but nobody really knows because apparently he's working on a bunch of stuff right now.
It could be Green Hornet.
Off the ground.
It could be Green Hornet 2. We don't know.
Yeah, that was good. He did that movie for HBO Max, American Pickle. I'm pretty sure he wrote it.
I don't know American Pickle, but
it's
Pammy and Tom, pretty dope.
Pammy and Tom?
Tom and Pammy. I think I did that every time I searched
Tommy and Pam?
God damn it.
Oh, did he do Tommy and Pam?
And
I don't know if he was involved with the production, but his character is fantastic.
Oh, okay.
And don't call me Pammy.
Yeah, American Pickles, that I'm pretty sure he wrote this one, but it's like some dude in the 1930s gets locked in a straight up pickle jar or like a giant barrel of pickles, and he's like,
what?
And he's unboxed like in the normal days, and he's alive, and he meets his grandson, who's Seth Rogen, and the old guy is played by Seth Rogen, and it's why was it made? So I can understand the hesitance on greenlighting this movie, but it's also funny that the mom treated it like a PTA and was just like, I'd like to have a word with you.
You know, I just like that even as a huge star, his mom is still getting in there fighting the good fight for him. There's something very heartwarming about this news.
I didn't know that Seth Rogen needed so much reinforcement to get something done. It seems like studios would just drool over the chance to.
Yeah, but if you're like a notoriously like stoner comedy dude and you're trying to do something outside of that wheelhouse, I could imagine it would be a little bit harder to get somebody to give you some money for that.
I mean, look at like people like David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. They're giving him horror franchises now. So
Seth Rogen's doing the Friday the 13th reboot.
But there's also been like there's also been proven success of like comedy actors doing great horror stuff.
Did you guys, this is on topic but a little off topic, did you guys see that Blumhouse is going to be redoing The Exorcist?
Oh my god.
I know.
Why?
It's a reboot too.
No.
With the mom from The Exorcist.
I will not.
I know.
I will not be participating.
I thought that The Thing was blasphemy because Blumhouse has supposedly still been working on that. This is blasphemy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a blasphemous from the pastimus.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a tagline.
I guess I'm more excited just to know what this project is. That's what I want to know the most from this article.
That's how I ended up too. I was like, oh, that's hilarious and super cute, but also like, can you tell me what it is, please?
Is this the most ingenious marketing ploy possible?
Well, this is like when Futurama, when they announced Futurama's coming back again.
Oh, with DiMaggio.
And they were like, oh, we don't have John DiMaggio as Bender. It's like, I kind of never believed it.
Never believed it.
Because if anything, it's just like, let's get people talking about it.
Yeah.
That's what I think this is.
And that's what this is. This is like, oh, this is a nice little, something that might go slightly viral. People will be just, oh, like, isn't this so funny? And then when the studio green lights, whatever this is, they'll be like, oh, this is exciting. You know what I mean? Just to get word going, I guess.
Yeah, this might just be a marketing. They've probably like greenlit it and they're just like, let's see how many TMZ articles we can get about this.
Yeah. Clicks.
I'm glad we could help out.
Yeah, right.
That's true. You're getting down here. You got vicarious clicks. There you go, Rogan.
Yeah, but I just had I thought it was delightful, nice, light serving size for today.
Also, Vicarious Clicks would be a nice podcast title.
Ooh.
Vicarious Clicks.
All right, well, let's scrap the channel.
Let's pull the plug on this. Let's get started.
It'll be our pop news podcast.
You know, Frank, that was interesting. I'm glad you gave us that little spill.
Interesting. I'll go so far as to say intriguing. I need to know more. Oh, that's intriguing.
Would you like to know more?
Lovely.
So that brings us over to everybody's favorite real hypothetical situation skit. In a world where you can be invaded in your dreams.
or by aliens who are actually ghosts.
who can be killed by spirit bullets. Just kidding.
Yeah.
They also kill real people.
Oh, I forgot one last thing.
Oh, yeah.
I did not like the laser sound.
Yeah. Pew. It literally was pew pew.
Yeah.
The laser sound.
The sound of the laser blasters in
Spirits Within.
Are they laser guns? I thought they were just
they
guns.
make a laser sound.
There's like a light that goes. It's like
They're the tracer rounds from Fury. That's what it was.
they're lasers. Yeah, it's for sure some type of photon beam or some science.
Which
shit
one are
like
you
that.
talking about?
All the guns,
all of them,
except for James Wood, the gun he's gonna kill himself with. That thing shoots bullets for sure because it's hammer fire.
James Woods, don't cut the man short.
Don't
James
cut the
Woods.
Woods man short.
Don't cut the Woods man short.
It just really tickled me.
I hate James Woods. Man.
Yeah, that was the only real gun that I saw. All of them were shooting lasers.
Pretty sure,
there was
yeah.
like a light trace.
and they make a bad sound.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot what we were talking about.
Anyways, we're here at Peeps and
Interesting.
Predicts, the situational segment where we put two people, i.e., peeps, in two predicts, i.e., predicaments. And we have a winner from last week who is
Yusuke Urameshi.
Urameshi.
But don't get confused because he doesn't come up yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
And he will.
He will.
And he will.
He will.
Today's peep, or our first set of peeps, rather, I shall say, our runner-up of peeps,
Ooh.
is James Gunn versus David Ayer. Interesting. How old is this one? It's got to be in there for a while.
Really old.
Maybe when we were doing Fury.
Damn, it's about to get gritty up in here.
Oh, what you got? Are we going to do the gritty up in here?
Yeah, do you guys remember when everybody was doing the gritty?
Actually, yeah.
That is a dance.
I'm gonna pronounce this the way it looks like it's written because it's a little bit smushed in the second word. But
Probably
who's more likely to replace Michael Caine in a Nolan flick? Interesting.
Is that my handwriting?
I believe so.
Yeah, looks like it. That's my handwriting.
Man, I don't even know, to be honest. I'll tell you this. Does anyone know what David Ayer looks like?
No.
No, actually, I'm going to look.
At least I know who James Gunn is.
I know what he looks like.
Does he have a face like Guy Pearce? Is that why?
Is this Guy
happening?
Pearce?
It could be. No, Guy Pearce. I
No,
think
David
so.
Ayer is Guy Pearce.
He might be.
I just got to look up a picture of David Ayer.
He
Doesn't look like I thought he looked.
He looks like he could have played if they were gonna do a sequel to the Facebook movie. He could play the aged Winklevosses.
I could see that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, he looks like generic white man number 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know how to go about this.
Oh, I forgot he made that movie Bright. That movie's such ass. Just bad.
I mean,
That Netflix movie. You remember that movie?
I forgot. About
I didn't
Bright.
watch it.
It's Will Smith and his
yeah.
fantastical ogre partner.
Yeah.
Whew. I'm just gonna go ahead and say James Gunn.
You know, all I'm thinking about now are the guns in Final Fantasy Spirits Within, and they are energy based because they use those packs.
Yeah.
They are a
the weird
type of
battery pack.
laser gun. Yeah. But
David,
this is
I know my guns.
But this is also why they kill the phantoms, because they're energy. They're like polarized energy. You know what I mean?
they ghostbusted their
They
asses,
ghostbusted
is what
them,
you're
yeah.
telling
I'm
me.
pretty sure there's a
So-
bullet in someone though.
Yeah. Well, no. What's his face has an actual pistol.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You don't need a hammer to hit a firing pin if it's battery operated laser.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to shoot some real bullets,
But you don't need bullets when you're shooting spirits.
that's just going to go right through them.
The hell is this? Oh.
So what are we talking about? I think James Gunn, I guess, because his name's cooler.
I feel like people would be able to recognize him more for the sake of the argument.
Yeah.
So let's think about the roles that Michael Caine plays in Nolan movies. Like he's usually like
Alfred.
Yeah, he's I would sum it down to like the wise
Mentor
type character, you know what I mean? Think James Gunn could pull that off a little bit better?
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like David
neither
Ayer's-
of them are like great for it.
This is one where like neither person's excellent for this one, but James Gunn I think is just a little more interesting than David Ayer, which ultimately will,
Does David Ayer have any? So David Ayer doesn't have any acting credits.
Yeah.
What about James Gunn?
Yes.
His brother does for sure.
I know James Gunn's shown up
James Gunn's got to hire somebody.
I know that he's shown up in a couple of his movies at least.
We know that James Gunn will tell more offensive jokes on Twitter.
That's
than
true.
David Ayer. So I don't know what that really counts for, though. I'm just saying things.
I'm trying to find the sound for the Spirits Within gun.
His middle name, James Gunn's middle name is
straight up.
Should we just end the episode? All we're doing is talking about Spirits Within now. We've really sidetracked everything.
James Gunn's middle name is Francis. That's pretty butlery.
Interesting. It's the same. It's a
I'll accept
Skywalker
that.
sound from Lucasfilm
Huh.
used for the. They're used
Interesting.
heavily throughout the entire film.
So it sounds like
But
you
the
guys are
mi-
just being
Just
biased.
don't like you guys just don't
'cause
like Star
the
Wars.
mix is different. The mix is definitely different on it. Like I don't know if there's more reverb on it on Star Wars or something, but the mix is definitely not the same as it is in Star Wars. It's definitely way drier.
You know what? Just
It sounds like. Did you ever have one of the blaster toys? It sounds like that
Yes.
sound does out of the blaster.
like
toy.
compressed.
It's that basic Star Wars sound.
Okay, let's insert right here some quick clip.
I got it.
1080p resolution. We got to get a high resolution clip.
Here is the Star Wars. Here is the Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. It's just not as good.
Comment below. What do you think?
It's just not as good.
All right, let's go with James Gunn because we need to continue.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
James Gunn, sure, why not? Okay, here's your next one. Who is more likely to forget to make a dinner reservation?
David Ayer seems more like that kind of guy.
I just don't know anything about David Ayer. I feel like we
We're
really
going based off his face, really.
This is a bad lineup of people. There was just not enough to know about these two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, truly.
Should we switch? Should we just find new peeps? Scrap?
I don't know.
Yeah, usually we scrap the predict.
Let's scrap the peep.
Let's
I feel
scrap
like
the
this
peeps.
never happens.
That's what's happening
This is
right
quite
now.
an old peep.
Throw this one out.
Do we
All
go
right,
same
James
two
Gunn,
predicts?
David Ayer, you're out of here.
This is unprecedented.
Well, you got to, it's only unprecedented until it's precedented.
There you go.
Okay, sure.
The new peeps are Christopher Nolan versus Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, at least this is something.
Yeah, they both have.
All right. Well,
Christopher Nolan's much more likely to replace Michael Caine.
okay. So check one.
Yeah.
All right. And then on to this next one. Who's more likely to forget to make a dinner reservation? Quentin Tarantino.
Oh,
Quentin
easily.
Tarantino.
For sure.
He
And
does
then he's
not.
going to yell at everybody in the restaurant.
Yeah, and
And
he'll-
the reporters outside.
I'm Quentin Tarantino. I don't need to make a dinner reservation.
He's going to show up in his Kangol hat and his like FUBU, and he's
Yeah.
going to be really mad at everyone.
Okay, this is
He's
beautiful.
going to be like borderline saying the N-word the whole time.
Exactly.
Put some lady's
He's
foot
gonna
in
be
his
no,
mouth.
it's cool. Like I got friends.
Okay, now we're chugging. Here's the tiebreaker. Who's more likely to unironically enjoy Final Fantasy Spirits Within? This is
David.
This could be either. I feel like
I feel like Quentin Tarantino would be the edgelord to say like, "Oh, this is a great movie."
he loves he loves a movie just requires a little more thought. You know what I mean? Like
God knows
some
the
of the-
Spirits Within requires so much thought.
some of the plebs can't understand it. There's a lot of nuance in it. But yeah, I think Tarantino could pull it off.
This would 100%. I agree with you because Tarantino. This is a Tarantino move.
You know what I'll say? Roger Ebert has a very
A looming review.
a very positive review of Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
That figures.
Let me just check. You know what? I'm gonna Google
If
Quentin
Tarantino
Tarantino
has
Spirits
said
Within.
anything about the Spirits Within,
It's possible. I don't think Christopher Nolan would, but
I don't think he was big enough around the time. I mean, Memento had just came out the year before, maybe.
yeah, no, I don't see anything on here.
You don't think Christopher Nolan was big enough to like the Spirits Within?
To have any opinion
To have any
archived.
opinion about it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like in
Is what I'm saying.
2001, like it would have been like, why are we even talking about this guy?
Who's this guy?
Christopher who? I'm sorry? Who are you? Who let you in here?
What have he would have done Memento by
Memento
then?
and
Yeah.
Following.
Okay. Well, honestly,
not big enough.
Not Tarantino level.
No.
At that point, I don't think he would. But at this point,
Yeah.
having sucked on his own farts to the point of probably almost passing out, making a Tenet, like he'd probably be like, "Wow, I need to speak to this man."
I do think that Christopher Nolan would like parts of the Spirits Within, but I do think that Tarantino would unabashedly like die on a hill like David about Spirits
Yeah.
Within.
I could see that.
Yeah, we have the same birthday
Right.
too.
You guys both dress exactly the same too.
It's something about what?
Yeah, David's always wearing FUBU and Kangol hats.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm comfortable with this. Let's go Tarantino for the win.
I agree with this 100%.
Yeah.
On Nolan. Oh, no. Tarantino goes on to face Yusuke Urameshi.
Yeah, Spear Detective from Yu Yu Hakusho.
And Feet Guy.
And against Feet Man, Tarantino.
Can this crazy, like, non-well-adjusted foot fetishist take the reigning seat?
What is it?
Who would write a better screenplay for Final Fantasy Spirits Within?
I mean, Quentin Tarantino.
We need to stop having Danny write these. Or at least not write all of them. Yeah, I feel like it has to be Tarantino. He's the screenplay writer.
I mean,
We just need to give him something else to set up because, like, while I'm plugging stuff in, you're setting up the camera. He's over here, like, writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
this is one thing that probably could have dethroned Urameshi. I mean, like,
Yeah, for reals. This is the one that we needed.
Like, sure, dude knows a lot about demons, I think, from what I've learned so far.
he knows how to
but
shoot.
Can't write.
Can't
Save
write.
his life.
No, can hardly speak, really.
I mean, Tarantino might have written
A great
an
Spirits Within.
even wackier movie. You know what I mean? Who
I would have
knows?
liked it, probably.
Yeah.
Surely.
Well,
Surely
you would
he
have had to
has.
watch it
I
to
would've
make an opinion.
Definitely would have
firsthand.
had to watch it again. Yeah, I mear there's no debate on that.
Yeah.
Like, Tarantino is our new winner.
Yeah, Tarantino's the champ.
Huh.
All right, it feels a
Look
bit
at
anticlimactic.
This
but
is
all right.
strange. Yeah.
Feels a bit like Godfather Part 3. Okay, I guess.
At least there's no cousins trying to get it on.
At least there's that.
At least there's that.
I mean, feet, although a fetish.
Oh, dude. Feet up here.
I mean,
like,
feet are
comparatively
legit. They
from,
are
like
a
banging
fetish.
your cousin.
On the soundboard, can we just have Danny saying, I mean, feet?
Yeah, I can clip that.
Let's
I
just
don't have
clip
it
that
yet,
from
but I'll
the
have it soon.
soundboard.
You know what's
Okay,
funny
perfect.
is like the word fetish is from feet?
Is it?
Isn't it
Did
from
you just make
liking
that up right now?
feet?
I think you're just.
Is it?
I don't.
Let's check out the epidemiology, epidysrexiology of
Fetish.
the word fetish.
Etymology.
Okay, well,
Etymology.
While these guys are looking up the most ridiculous thing we've ever had to check on the channel,
There's no way that's true.
we're at the end of this episode. So let me hit you with what's coming up next. We got a CLE for Dirty Work coming
It
up.
is not.
Spoiler alert, it's not. So we got a CLE for Dirty Work. We got a genre-bending movie quest coming up. Cabin
God,
in the
that
Woods.
movie's gonna suck. I'm sorry.
And then at the end of the month, The Northman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just saw the trailer when we were watching the Batman, and I was just like in my seat, just visibly
Yeah.
air thrusting.
I like am so excited for that movie. My hands got clammy right now when you started talking about it.
It's going to be great.
I can't wait. I'm all about it.
Well, thanks for checking out what's got to be the weirdest combination of movies we've ever talked about, like The Godfather and then Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
Yeah.
Two beloved Hollywood gems, and
The etymology of fetish.
and yeah, and to cap it off with a little bit of word origin.
Don't wear khaki suits.
Don't wear khaki suits.
Yeah, that's all I can say. What was our other rule? Don't wear khaki suits.
Don't wear khaki suits.
It's bad.
Don't bang your cousin.
Don't bang
Bang
your cousin. There you go. Life lessons from UMR.